execution is there. Saints, however, are a team that might be able to pull it off.
It takes a lot to do. The only question I have is not of the players. This is a caliber of players that you can only get from the upper echelon of contenders and even the Overwatch League at that. But they've only been playing together for less time than some of these other teams have. Then notably less time than Trick Room has been playing together. And that might be the one thing that Trick Room has over every single team in this bracket. It's honestly the power of friendship, Yerix.
Yeah, power of friendship, power dedication, the power of just having scrimmed together in the off season for literally months, and having the preparation of some of their players doing stuff with collegiate, some of their players doing stuff with their national teams as well, as we've been able to talk about. But nonetheless, before we get jumping into this series, certainly want to hear what everybody has to say about this one. Chat predictions in the chat right now. If you haven't already, 1 for Saints, 2 for Trick Room. I think I'm going to be surprised by this result, because going into this, I would sort of expect people would side with Saints, especially given their position in the bracket and what we've seen so far from them. But like you said before, it feels like Trick Room may be the community protagonist, but Saints still, I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup for them.
Look, if I'm a betting man, Saints are the obvious choice. If I'm a believer,
right.
Trick Room's right there, man. To put it. Exactly. And these chat predictions, look, they are just as much a prediction as they are an indicator of fan bases. So let us know whether you want to predict or just root for your team. 1s and 2s in the chat. Let's see what these teams are locking in.
So getting things started here, like we talked about already. Trick Room, I think the intent is to try to play this Reinhardt composition, catch Saints off guard, make sure that execution for any of the compositions that they come to play with is just that much harder, because Trick Room can play fast, they can play explosive, they can play in your face, they're looking for that quick kill, and it's easier for them to go 3-2-1 and play as 5 than it would be for Saints to do the same thing with a composition that requires a lot of coordination to be pulled off here, as you see not even just the Wrecking Ball coming out, but also Tree on Hanzo, King on Genji as well.
I mean, I like this Tree Hanzo, though, specifically against the Bastion. It's just a lot of damage against a big hitbox. Might have been Tecton, if nothing else, to specifically counter what Trick Room were bringing to the table on Antarctica. Well, we'll swing through to start things out, though, and high ground's been claimed by Trick Room, so it'll be that much easier to play into the Hanzo.
Infected diving forward, trying to find himself a target to swing on, but Saints won't give him one.
That's all right. I mean, he's here to hold space, the same as the Wrecking Ball, right? Maintain pressure on the point. Trick Room, I would say, are still in a decent position, but as the high ground's been given over to the Hanzo, you can see Tree is dealing tons of damage from above, and Infected is on the receiving end of most of it.
Oh, Mikey needs a lot of healing here. CJ is trying to provide it. Now, though, Saints...
the charge, man.
I mean, they're a 5v4 advantage, but they still can't really push Trick Room back.
The letality's hard to find without the Hanzo specifically getting a kill. Implication makes come out now due to all the healing on Infected, who just can't land a charge for the life of him. That's like the worst feeling when you're playing Reinhardt, when everything's just bouncing off of you. There were 2 or 3 opportunities there where an inch to the left or right, and it's over for Trick Room, but Saints hold it out.
Another concern I have as well with regard to this Genji is not only is it going to be more difficult for the Bastion to find value because of some of these deflects, as you see King getting some value, but that value actually brings King into range of having his ultimate. So Blade's going to be there. CJ's pretty close to the Nano as well. And Trick Room, who are making swaps, I mean, they're still pretty vulnerable to that combo.
And these are very different dive compositions, but like you said, with one of them having ultimates, that being Saints, this is so much harder. A pile driver onto boat shuts down the dive of Trick Room. They tried to preempt the attack of Saints, but it just never came. They used the Nano for peel and call it a fight.
See Infected backing off, and feels like Trick Room just can't find themselves a way in at all. Every time they go in and try to get into a nice position, Saints sniff them out and remove them from that position, or entirely from the equation. Now you're seeing them with a 50% lead, and they still haven't had to really pull anything. I mean, they nano boost Vega, and Vega went ham with it, but that's all that they've spent so far to get this lead.
The silver lining here for Trick Room is that they've now started to build up ultimates of their own. As this fight goes along, they might have a chance of getting those online early. The dive completely unsuccessful, though. Now it's Saints' turn to strike back. Blade whiffs. Trick Room are very happy to see that. In fact, Tree even drops low. King nearly taken out of the fight. Mikey wants to dive in, but gets shut down. Pummy with the opener onto King. A Dragon Strike in makes room for the Wrecking Ball, but the damage has been done. He's booped away as the mines come in too. He can't even zone this backline properly. Pile drives him up, trying to buy a shot for Tree, and he does get one onto Infected. It's Hanbei next in their sights. A Sojourn ult pop by Trick Room to try and pull the map back, but Saints are pretty far ahead. It's being turned, though, by the blue side.
Pummy and Magic 8-Ball might have done enough just insulating themselves behind this pylon here. And I think that they might have a shot here at actually winning this fight, but Saints are going to be back so quick. And on top of that, they're going to have the nano boost. That can help them reset Mikey's HP if it's not reset already. And in fact, it is going to be. As Saints go ahead and allow that flip to go through, they're going to be ready to go very, very quickly with another engage.
The flip is pressure relieved, if nothing else. Trick Room can move forward knowing that they have at least some advantage. The dive is attempted onto the Zenyatta. The nano boost picks Vega back up. They've pulled the ultimate.
Yeah, that's a big one to pull. I mean, now the next dive is going to be that much more easy to execute.
Oh, they just can't find the same target, though. Infected and Boat shooting different members, and for that, they're going to pay the price. Saints are going to flip this point right back on over. Or sub-map away of the red side.
The Saints, team in red, gonna go ahead and get an early lead, and I would say a pretty decisive victory for them as well. Obviously, we did see a forced swap from Trick Room, as Trick Room certainly have to reestablish their bearings. This is a massively different team than what they just faced. And Saints at 59%. This is probably what I expected, but Trick Room at 41% is certainly more.
At the beginning of the tournament, this wouldn't have happened. You know?
Yeah, this would not have happened. It would have been like 79-21 or something like that. But safe to say, Trick Room have garnered themselves a little bit of a fandom here, and I do like to see that. These players deserve it.
All right, as we leave labs, we head on to the icebreaker, and this is where the Reinhardt starts really coming into play. Here and underground, we see it at its most powerful, and Saints are going to try and circumvent it. They put Tree on the Pharah. Mikey stays on the ball. It's all about avoiding the rush.
Name another team in NA doing this. Nobody can help prepare you from what Saints is bringing into this one. Trick Room are somehow going to have to deal with Tree on this Pharah. And obviously they do have Pummy to help deal with that naturally as the... Oh, man. The damage coming in.
It's too much, man. Sick dive by Mikey. You know, I think around the tier 2, around the contender scenes, we're extremely familiar with the likes of Tree. You know, we always talk about the Tree gap, the Tree differential. But you really can't underestimate the value that you're getting out of Mikey, who was just in an Overwatch League final.
However, interestingly enough, that dive was real strong, but Trick Room still come out ahead. I mean, they do have control of the objective. Saints, yep, they do have that point presence that allows them to kind of stay. Even if they drop a player, they can sustain. Saints looking for that next opportunity here, but something to take note of is the ult charge of Tree. Very close to a barrage. That could wipe the floor with Trick Room.
It could. Trick Room seemed very aware. Pummy, I don't think I've seen this guy miss a shot. Oh, there he goes. Anyways, I haven't seen him miss many shots in quite some time. Tree's being kept on a high alert. He can't just move forward whenever he wants. Deadeyes from the side. Tree's got no clue what angles from. He's separated away from his mercy. Oh, poor Vega. CJ cut off with him. They know there's a far back there somewhere. Just about sniffing him out now. Uh-oh. Does mitigate the damage. Holy cow, they turned it into a dive on a Pummy. The reverse Uno card's been played, and Tree comes in the second they forget about that barrage. It bites him in the back. Can Trick Room get back quickly enough to contest this?
I wonder if this is more of a question of can Saints get in position before Trick Room come back and just throw a blizzard on the point and push them off. Looks like Infected is going to dive very close to his Earth Shatter, but oh, maybe not close enough.
Oh, it wasn't worth completing the charge. He needed to cancel it earlier on before he took all that damage. Without the tank, you can't take this fight.
So a flip for Saints. And now here's the struggle for Trick Room. They have to find a way to combat all of that pressure that Saints are going to have. But now Saints have ultimates. That's the big thing here is without ultimates, Trick Room can sustain through a lot of the pressure thrown in by Saints. But now that Saints have the ability to tip the scales in their favor with those ults and just overpower the sustain from Trick Room, this becomes a little bit of a cause for concern.
Trying to take this point away from the ball team is far from easy. They try and flip the map on them. Ooh, he almost Ajaxed into the mines, but does manage to dodge him on the way down. Can't dodge that shatter, Mikey. Tree, though, a whole lot of issues to this team as they try and collapse onto the likes of the Saints players that are on the ground. The rockets flying in from above have made it 10 times more difficult. Trick Room have invested everything into this fight and come up completely empty-handed.
And that's exactly what we're talking about here. Saints also do so efficiently. I mean, look at what they had to use there. They opened the fight with mines. They had Vega's Valkyrie expended there as well, but they held on to everything else. They still have the Nano Blade. They have Nano Barrage as another option, should they want to go that direction as well. Trick Room, they know the position that they're in, and I think smartly opt to throw Boat over onto the Sombra to try to shut down Mikey or shut down literally anything.
Nano Blade. I mean, we've seen this one a million times here. It's a story as old as time. Slash and dash and hack and slice his way on through. He's made sashimi of Trick Room.
And now into this next fight, you look at Trick Room's options, and there just aren't very many. And Saints, they have Barrage, they have Mines coming up pretty soon. If Mikey can get a little bit of a slide through Trick Room's 5, then there's going to be a lot of separation caused and a lot of damage. Oh yeah, thrown out.
Nice shield. Well done by Infected to throw that farthest damage right back in her face. He took that nano boost as well from the previous fight, so no tools to save her. Pile drive hacked out. Boat swap over to the Sombras already found obscene amounts of value. He's getting a little cyberbullet here, but Saints can't find the coordination between King and Mikey to really finish those off, so instead it's Infected in their backline that's finding even more value.
Well, Bine's out, so nobody else other than Infected can be on the point, and even Infected doesn't want to be there. Nice Suzu there, keeps Infected upright in spite of CJ's Biotic Grenade, and now you can see the swaps coming out from Saints. They're going to go over to that Winston composition. This is the composition that Saints have been playing quite a lot more than a lot of other teams, and one that they feel very, very strongly about outside of obviously the Genji that is in there.
But you're comfy, but can you beat 3 ultimates? I am not 100% sure. There's one of them.
EMP.
EMP available, looming over top, connects, it's King, down instantly, one stolen away, Saints forced to engage in a suboptimal fight, but they're going into the Kitsune rush, and now it's Trick Room's time to strike. Infected moves forward, the monkey doesn't have a jump, Vega doesn't have a head, Saints are being taken to a map number 3.
Oh man, Trick Room turning this one back around. Timing was key for this one here. I mean, obviously, when we saw Saints in control, they were in a great position. They were doing all these, they were going through all these fights so efficiently. They almost caught that Ajax there. I mean, there was so many opportunities there for Saints. And
you know what the difference was?
What's that?
Oh, went to Sombra. It doesn't seem to matter who swapped it. True. I mean, even after the last match, Infected just immediately tweets after the win, Pummy is best Sombra ever. And it wasn't Pummy this time, but it's still Boat in Sombra is still a character that is very much in this team's wheelhouse.
Oh yeah, definitely, and that's something that I think NA has been missing for quite some time. I remember talking to a lot of, players in the past that NA has always suffered with Sombra play. There's been a couple of metas where we've seen Sombra, but when you talk about contesting, other regions on that pick, it just hasn't been a strength of NA. Maybe it can be now.
We shall see. Initial high ground control being given over. It's Vega who falls for it, though. A quick one here for Trick Room. Saints tried to assail on a not super assailable position. Diving into such a small room, the corridor is so thin, it's difficult. Now, when you give over the point to the Reinhardt composition, he no longer has a drop, and he gets to play that high ground. This is a very difficult map to take back.
Yeah, now Saints have to find a way to surround them in a place where they can get kind of stuck in chokes. Mikey's certainly going to help them push forward. It can soak up a lot of that pressure, but it's not infinite.
Certainly no. Health bars remain lowered. King sent back to spawn 20% over the point. But take a look at the ultimates here for Trick Room. Pummy and Boat up to 2 massive zoning ultimates. And just a blink of an eye, Infected charged into the backline. Actually peels for Pummy quite nicely. And Saints can't get any foot room.
No breathing room at all. Mikey's trying to go ahead and get a little bit of a fire sale going for that, but it's just not, it's so difficult to push into them. They're going to try to use the high ground here, and Pummy's going to force everybody from Saints back and around corners. In the meantime, Mikey is feeling very comfortable, at least for now, on the point and looking to break out of that as soon as he can.
That Deadeye was so valuable, though. I mean, it forced all of the members of Saints into different positions. Why?
Okay, well...
It was definitely, like, it seemed pre-rehearsed. Like, they wanted a Nano Blade, but, I mean, he's 50% off. I don't know.
If you
CJ's a better player than I am, so I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt.
If you can get in there and maybe pull something like a Soundberry, but that wasn't even ready, maybe force out a Blizzard, disengage with it, try to go in,
there's no
find
Nano Blade,
a one
it's
shot.
just mines?
Yeah, I mean, 78% as well. You're probably looking at last fight, and Trick Room still have, I mean, virtually everything.
The shot onto King is dangerous. Ultimates, some of which haven't even come up for the first time, are going to come out. Trick Room have far more to work with here. They want to play proactively. They want to hold the high ground. They utilize it in order to put out the amplification matrix. Blizzard is available, though, for both. Something we have to think about. Just dodges the mines with that. Takes down King, though. 3% away from the blade. Infected took down King. I must reiterate, Saints are being toppled. Trick Room are simply gods right now. The shot from the high ground solidifies their fate, and it's Trick Room taking away map number 1.
Oh man, the last two, they still have one last thing to deal with. I can't imagine this is going to flip this thing all the way around. King is great, but not great enough to defeat 5 pretty much on his own. Trick Room with an early lead. Remember, this is first to 4, so there's a lot of maps yet to come, but getting that first map out of the way certainly helps to set the tone for your team. It's a team that's clearly, I think, feeling like they're playing up, but as we talked to Mateball and kind of found out, is they're feeling very good about their chances in this.
I think the big question for Trick Room, and the question with any team like Trick Room that's newer to that upper echelon, that is playing up, is how long can you do it? Nothing will test you more than a 7-game series. Nothing will test you more than playing up against a team like Saints. Can they keep this up for the entirety of 7 maps? That's to be seen.
I mean, I hate to use this term because of what it means for this community, but I mean, talk about a gauntlet, right? I mean, literally, potentially up to 12, maybe even more maps in a single day where you're battling up against Redbirds, a team that has consistently finished top 1, 2, 3 in every single tournament that they enter, as well as Saints featuring players that are very much held in the same regard. Constant top finishes, especially as of late. And you're talking about, I mean, this is probably the closest thing to an NA super team that we have, and yet here is Trick Room doing so well against both of those rosters in the same day.
Look, man, power of friendship, that's all they got to hold on to. I mean, I think it's hard to look at a team like Saints and be like, yeah, we're going to outplay you mechanically. But they can get around them. They can outthink them. They can outlash them. They can outplay them in the longer fights, something that we've seen them do time and time again. The coordination is on for this team. They've played together longer. The teamwork is there for this team. The versatility is there. They've got the rush. They've got the ball composition should they need to bring it out. They haven't had to pull any emergency levers yet, so they hold a lot of cards close to their chest, which I think helps them out a lot in a series this long.
So we're going to go ahead and pivot over to a map number 2 here, Dor. One that we haven't seen, at least you and I haven't seen, certainly as much as the likes of King's Row. When we go into Blizzard World, the hybrid map choice by the Saints. And again, given what we know about this team, I think I feel pretty confident in saying that this is going to be more than likely a Winston composition look. That's what their team has talked about throughout the entire tournament as being the composition, that other teams that aren't doing it are falling behind. And in fact, in some cases, also calling other teams out for being behind in that regard. But Trick Room, while we have seen them talk about the fact that they did have, that Winston comp that they were working on, they pivoted, they looked at some other compositions, and they certainly have shown that more often than the Winston. But I'd be curious to see, okay, when everything is there on the table, if Trick Room does go for the Reinhardt and Saints go for the Winston, what actually happens when those two teams clash on a map that we would expect Saints with a Winston composition, should they pick it, to probably have an advantage?
I mean, you have to imagine explosive results, right? Just with how Trick Room have been playing this, the focus they've been able to put on other teams' tanks, I mean, Gig got put in damage jail for quite some time by Pummy specifically, but also counter dives from Infected did a ton of work in being able to shut him down, to make sure either he wasn't getting the support that he needed or there was that extra bit of damage to make his job that much harder. And Mikey's gonna have to contend with the same thing. Obviously, I hate to do this, but like, there is a certain level there. It's one thing when you're playing Redbirds, when you're playing a Contenders team, but up against a tank of the caliber of Mikey, in EU terms, an Overwatch League vice champion, being able to punish him in the same way is not going to be easy.
Not at all. Tough task. Tough task. Saints, though, no surprises here on the defense. You know exactly what composition they're coming to the table with. The only thing that could potentially maybe differ would be King perhaps going over to the Reaper in some cases, but given what we know about Trick Room, there really is no indication that we're going to be seeing them mirror. And as such, Tracer makes that much more sense. You have that flanking potential, you have that pressure that you can install against any composition, whether it be the Reinhardt Rush, whether it be some of these more chaotic Wrecking Ball based compositions as well. It is just a little bit more dynamic, and certainly as a defensive team, you want that.
Grapple up from Pummy, gives himself a concussion, and back to spawn we go. Trick Room have realized what they're going into. They know the monkey's coming here. No surprises to us, and I think if it's not surprising us, Yerix, it's certainly not surprising these two.
Not at all. Trick Room looking for that opportunity. You can see Infected just kind of downloading the situation. Okay, what is our way in? Looks like he's figured it out, and he's going to go for it.
The dive is on the tree. Star Child of Contenders has been assailed. Trick Room make a dive. Saints one of their own, but the swing through from the back of Infected is phenomenal. Tree's got two personal bodyguards, and they're quite tough to kill. One of them goes down, and Tree stay alive with the help of his so-called bouncers at this point. Oh my god, everybody lives! Everybody dies, rather, so that Tree may live. And it's worth it. This is one player you can simply invest in, and the stocks only go up.
I can't believe that's exactly how that fight went. I mean, all members of Trick Room looking for Tree, all members of Saints trying to protect him, and Tree comes out ahead for Saints. Or rather, I guess the Saints as a whole come out ahead. I mean, CJ obviously getting off a ton of damage. You can see the difference there. The delta in ult charge. They're going to have Kitsune rush for this fight.
Kitsune rush out aggressively, throws it on to Mikey, but Trick Room actually behind them. The Kitsune rush is the wrong direction, and Tree gets to use a little bit of it, but it's Trick Room who I think are laughing at the end of all of this. Mate Ball does go down, though, traded for Vega. All things considered, a decent trade. Tree with Overclock, though, is always a threat. And the fight is far from over. Tree slides back in, Mikey down. Does he pop the Overclock? Can he hold it close enough to his chest? Tree thinks it's time, and I think it's time. It ends now. Shot onto Infected. One more onto the rest of Trick Room, and it's done.
Clearly a lot of investment into Tree, but I think Trick Room did a good job of actually kind of pivoting mid-fight there. Gave a little bit of space to Tree, but Infected allowed that to be okay. Just knocking Tree around, making sure that he couldn't get shots off. Saints, however, still managed to defend. Trick Room, though, got two of those ticks, and that could be important for this fight here.
Dive in. It forces out an early primal from Mikey. I'm a little surprised to not see Trick Room disengage after a moment like that, but nevertheless, I'll have to fall back.
Yeah, Hanbei gonna die here. I'm curious to see if Magic Mayfall gets out. I think he's just gonna go ahead and, give his life away. It'd take longer just to get back to his team and try to sneak his way past than it would to just go ahead and say, yep, just reset me, that's fine. However, Trick Room, they've got both of the support ults. Saints pretty close to some of their own, but I would say, when you look at the economy, when you look at the fact that there are 2 ticks capped, I feel like Trick Room have a pretty decent shot. It's basically now or never.
Ultimate's available. Saints are going to do everything in their power to stop them. All 5 members in the corner trying to keep Tree alive. It's been the name of the game. They spot the Sojourn. They know exactly where he is. And in the sights of Boat is the Tree. And Trick Room brought an axe this time. He falls over, toppling with point A. It's going to cost a lot to get it done here, but Trick Room have finally achieved the first objective of Blizzard World.
A little bit more concise with a dive as well, right? I mean, sure, it took a lot of it took a lot of their economy to get here, but they also pulled a lot from Saints. So it winds up working out in their favor, I think, in a big way. As long as they can defend against Tree and the overclock that is coming soon, obviously that's asking for a lot, but not a bad position to be in. You're able to move forward. You're able to, continue down this pathway and see if you can't find some picks of your own.
Oh, jumps in, tosses a pulse bomb onto the likes of Saints. It's Mikey dropped low. Trick Room wanting to maintain that pressure on the tank player. But instead, Saints are going to back away, allow the progress of Trick Room in favor for being able to reset that health bar. And they'll do the same thing to Infected, knocking him low, taking him away from the team, making space for Tree to come in and try and beat him down. The overclock valuable, but not as much as they wish it was. The positioning from Trick Room on the high ground was phenomenal. And now it's them caught out in the open. The trap closes in on Saints, and Trick Room attempt to strike, but CJ, so lethal on the support line, able to take down Boat and Magic 8-Ball with the help of Mikey.
Yeah, now everything just coming up aces here for Saints. I mean, they're just getting Trick Room whittled down to basically no time at all. There's still a lot of distance to cover, and look at this. They're also caught in a choke point as well that Saints can just continue to pile in on top of them.
That they will. Pummy falls. The rest of the team chasing down the likes of Trick Room. And the ultimates haven't changed. I mean, it's even every single time, but Saints are making it look dominant.
I think this is probably the first situation that we've seen Trick Room in where, like we talked about last series, that they're just so good once kind of the chaos breaks out. Well, Saints, I think, thriving a little bit better in that capacity.
The ultimate's up in a minute on the clock. Trick Room would love nothing more than to get that cart moving in, but they have to break this high ground first, and they will. Infected forces the entirety of Saints back, but it cost him his health bar. Does it cost him his life? Oh god, it does. Mines thrown out. Trick Room are still trying. Primal Rage immediately into the Kitsune Rush, something Mikey has done dozens, if not hundreds of times. Immediately shuts down the ultimate and pushes away the push of Trick Room with ease.
That's one of the things I like about this matchup as well. Winston, pretty solid at clearing mines as well. So one of the major threats that you get out of the mines, nullified by just throwing a bubble or just having that cleave damage. And now, because of what Trick Room tried to accomplish with that last play, they've equalized the economy, and now it's last-ditch effort here, 10 seconds. You have to get on the payload. You have to not only touch it, but you have to continuously contest it here as well.
Touch is a straightforward part. Contest is the hard one. Trick Room follow them, assailing onto the likes of Saints. They've got an overclock for Pummy, and he's created one pick for them. Mikey will mean a second. Tree has one of his own, doesn't use it instead. Tries the amp shot, tries the railgun to finish it off, and with CJ's help, they do. We've seen what CJ can do before. We've seen it on many teams and many situations. It's causing problems, but now it's about staying on that cart, like you said. It's not easy.
And not only that, but on top of everything, you also have Saints with Tree going to have so much space, more than likely, to be able to pop this overclock. Going to have the Kitsune Rush to help things out, as well as the extra health from Vega.
Hair out. Sound barrier from Magic 8-Ball to try and stop this. Like you said, Amplification Matrix now comes up. Tree still doesn't use it, but it's CJ. Another pick for the Kiriko. We said put your eyes on this man for some time. But I have to say it again, I've got to yell at man. CJ deserves so much credit for what he's done on every single roster he's been on. He does this, man.
Definitely an all-star for this team. Absolutely an all-star for this team. And that's why you brought him up in the beginning, because it's so hard to, isolate someone on this roster. In fact, there have been some people coming up to me as of late, as we kind of get closer to the Pro-Am. Who are some of those players? Is there anybody in particular on any of these rosters? Give me like one or two. And it's with Saints, it's difficult, because it's like I can't give you one or two. My best guess would maybe be Tree and CJ have been kind of the stars, but the thing about Saints that makes them so dangerous is that as good as CJ and Tree are, and as big of a difference maker as either of them can be, you could say the same thing about the rest of the team, including False, who isn't even in right now.
Yeah, the star power is topping the scales, but for me, one player on this roster is doing a phenomenal job on this map in particular that hasn't gotten highlight quite as much. I mean, Mikey
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hate to mention it so much with the Overwatch League finals and such, but his job was the same there. Keep Proper alive. It is a very hard job against Fearless, but clearly he knows exactly how to keep Tree alive and has been doing a fantastic job. The peel is impeccable. And
especially that first fight, right?
Exactly. And Tree just seems invincible. And we've seen Tree on teams where he doesn't look invincible. We've seen Tree on teams where he can be the only person keeping himself alive, and he'll still do this. But when you bolster him with Mikey peeling for him, dear God, man, I pray for whoever's on the other side of that.
On the other side of that is Trick Room, who are lying in wait right now with this ball composition, trying to defend against it. They've managed a map win already. Let's see if they can steal one away again.
Doesn't look too good for him. Pummy's already gone. The counter dive onto Tree unsuccessful as he slides away coolly to the other side of the point. Infected pushed off. Saints hit point. Trick Room fall back. A quick first take after an insanely fast first pick onto Pummy.
550 does not look good, at least at the beginning here for Trick Room, but as this map opens up, I think their shot gets a little bit better. Just depends on how Saints want to approach this. Are they going to be able to be effective when they go ahead and jump on one player, or when they counter dive? We saw Trick Room forcing a lot of great counter dives before, but it's actually Trick Room who are aggressing forward.
And again, all they want is somebody from this... Wow, that got shut down so quick. Tree was not taking that for an answer.
So the counter dive, not really an option for Trick Room when they're the ones pushing forward and then getting clotheslined in the process. In only 50 seconds, that's all it really took here to start getting things going yet again for Saints. They win that fight. That's 2 in a row for them on their attack. And just so much time at their disposal. And on top of that, because they're winning the fights, they have momentum now, especially through economy.
They can keep that rolling for about as long as they like. This is as dire as it gets for Trick Room. We talked about this map being so good for Saints in that they can run that Winston so effectively. It might be a little worse now with Tree gone. Tree for Pummy, I hate to say it, but that's a trade I'll take right about now. Boat goes down following, though. Now Trick Room don't have any DPS. How are they going to frag their way through this fight? How are they going to get those final blows?
Trick Room going to be backing off real close to their defensive spawn. That is good news. Unfortunately for them, they need to come up on those support ults fast. They need to match this or they're going down.
Shots begin to land for CJ. Infected has to stay on card. He sees Mikey in his backline, but he simply can't do anything about it. Instead, the backline's going to come to him. A Katsuna rush forward for Trick Room. Tries to assist in the plot to take down the backline of Saints. It's only so successful, though. They've gotten a couple members, but they need to take down Mikey to really secure this one, and they can't. The heals from CJ are too much. Mikey's movement too difficult to get around, but finally, after what has become a slog, Trick Room find their way through.
Great job from Trick Room support line, especially as well. They managed to kite away from Saints. Their aggressive pressure, the way that they're pushing forward, trying to find those early kills, utilize those support ults that they had to their advantage, but time was bought, and now Trick Room, let's see what they can do with another opportunity.
I mean, let's see what they can do against Tree. Answer, nothing. 3. Do I see 4? At this point, we're just auctioning off the map. Gonna be a no. Tries to pull back into him with the pulse bomb, but even Saints know this one's as good as dead. All of them standing still, just awaiting the crown to reassert itself upon their head as they reassert their control of this series.
At least for the time being, things are tied up, though, which I do find very intriguing for this matchup, especially given the confidence that was coming out from Magic 8 Ball in their interview. But certainly it seems like when Saints get to dictate things, whether it be with regard to the map selection or with the way that they're taking these fights, especially if they can insulate Tree effectively, then oh man, are they a tough team to take apart.
It's hard, but I also think that this dominance is not something that's permanent, right? We also have to look at what is the rest of the map pool. These two teams play complete opposite sides of the meta in terms of what they like to run, and I suspect that map pick is going to be all the more important. We talk about winning first map as being important. It's very important, especially in best of 5s if you're going to trade back and forth. In best of 7, there's a bit more room to kind of upset that back and forth. They did win the first map, and these are two very different meta teams, so Trick Room are certainly not out of it.
Yeah, I think we're seeing, obviously, going into this, we had a kind of the expectation that this was going to be sort of rock paper scissors with the approach, but it hasn't really panned out like that. It's really just about execution and whether or not a team is efficient, isn't making those mistakes, because all of those mistakes are getting punished by the opposition, especially at this level of play by these types of teams here. So even though those map choices come in, and I think they're going to matter, especially because, as you mentioned, these two teams are just so vastly different in the way that they're approaching this meta, at least for the time being. I wonder if, we get into that same situation that we've seen in a few other series where maps that we suspect should be good for a specific team's meta may not be the case.
Yeah, I think that certainly could be the case, man. We've got a map pick coming up for Trick Room, though. I don't know where they quite want to take him. It's going to be a tough call, but only one that they can make. We'll see you after a break. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you got done what you needed to get done. We are 2 maps deep into the grand finals here, and it is 1-1, and we are lining up ourselves a good long game here, because this is going to be a battle of attrition between Saints and Trick Room. And as we say that, it's going to go to a map number 3. It's Junkertown.
Yeah, first to 4, that's exactly what we're going to get in a battle of attrition. This is one way to keep the train rolling, too. Junkertown is a map that we just got done seeing, actually, in our last series. And this was, I mean, a heroic moment. Saved Trick Room on this map. And they actually come back. They select it. We talked before about how there's a potential for things like Shambali to come out. I feel like that's more of like a Hive thing instead. Trick Room, though, they're favoring Junkertown. They pulled it out against Redbirds. Why not try it here?
And I think you're feeling good on it. There are some teams that would be like, oh no, I don't know if we can clutch like that twice. No, Trick Room are only more emboldened by it. They want to go here. They want to be on the Holy Land where Pummy killed the entire enemy team when they weren't looking. They want to run it back in these moments, and Saints are going to make some adaptations to try and match that. They've made one big change. You mentioned a name that wasn't on this roster but still has the same amount of star power. False is coming in to play tank.
Yeah, of course, this is probably going to mean that they're going to be bringing in that Sigma. Look for a pretty similar setup for the Saints as to what we saw from Redbirds, especially defensively. Change on attack, though, I wonder about, because something that people don't give False any kind of credit or respect for is the fact that he did spend a lot of time last year as kind of a solo tank, and what that meant was that he had to figure out very quickly how to play every tank. So that's offered up some versatility to False that I think not many people, again, really give him enough credit for, that he can go over to things like the Winston should it be necessary. However, I don't really suspect that it will be. I think they'll probably opt instead for things like D.Va, things like Sigma, much like we saw from Redbirds.
Yeah, I think the Redbirds route clearly wasn't wrong. They nearly got the full hold. They nearly got the hold on second point. It was just miracles that Trick Room were creating. That plot armor really came through from strong in that map. And I think if Saints just say, okay, we are Redbirds, but we are better in style, run the same thing, and you'll just have that little bit of cleaner execution that it takes topple Trick Room. So I think the game plan here is just be confident in what you're playing and understand that if you play, they're going to have to match you. I think that's Saints' ideology through all of this tournament. They believe through and through that they are the best team here. There's not a question in their minds of that conviction that they should be the team to beat. I think the same thing goes for Junkertown. They're not going to come here trying to answer any questions offered up from the opposing side. They want to ask them.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Saints, have every reason to feel that way as well. I think, we've even described them in that light, coming into this, they were the team to beat. They were always the team to beat from the start until now. I think the only question left that remains is whether or not Trick Room, who have really impressed throughout this tournament, can be that dark horse team that takes them down and sets themselves up where obviously both of these teams are already qualified for the actual programs, but coming out of it, this qualifier as the top team out of NA, that's gotta be a morale boost.
Oh, almost certainly, if not a very important boost to your qualification spot and your seeding.
Yeah. True.
Prize pool as well. There's money on the teams I would match, which is for once the least important thing about it.
There are some teams I would want to avoid at the Pro-Am if I was coming in from the qualifier. I will say that for sure.
Yeah, you get that low qualification spot. You get slapped by the San Francisco Shock for a couple of games, and it's just like, okay, well, fun trip. Let's go home. So qualification order is very important, but so is what we lock in here. Saints starting out on the attacking side are going to choose a similar route to what we saw Redbirds go with, and that is the D.Va.
Yeah, D.Va for the attack here. I suspect that on defense, they might actually opt for the Sigma. It's just the D.Va offers a little bit better, not even just the pushing power, but also the contestability of the cart to a degree, and also the ability to completely just go into that anti-dive setup, just trying to dive back onto boat, Pummy infected, protect your backline, insulate some of those lesser health pool targets that Trick Room are looking at and considering very juicy right now.
Keeping alive is no small task. This first bit of progress I've seen has become pretty standard for this map. Dodging the dive now, and when you're being spy checked constantly, getting into this backline for Pummy is really, really difficult.
Setting up, still, Saints working that angle, looking for that first pick. That could very well determine who actually takes this first point or who defends it off of this push.
Dive on a Vega, looks good, a great slam, but Infected just gets slept out. The CJ difference is what that is. They trade it 1 for 1, which means that Pummy will start catching up in terms of that EMP charge.
Not only that too, but very close to the Transcendence. Twice what Hanbei has because of that damage that CJ set up for Vega. Vega under duress though. They have to make sure that they can get him back so he's not at the mercy and will of Infected, but they are cleaning things up.
We saw with Redbirds it took basically 4 people to keep their support alive. For Saints right now, it's taking False. It's just the DM. keeping him alive. It's more than enough to keep Vega upright.
Exactly. I mean, that's the purpose of this D.Va, is just making sure that Vega can just pop off, CJ can pop off, and lessen the impact of Infected, Boat, and Pummy. And I think Saints definitely getting some value out of that protection as well. I mean, it's not just about staying alive, but also creating an opportunity for impact for their key players, which is to say, literally everyone on the team.
Ack almost lands. When he does manage to TP out. Boat doesn't quite have the same ability on his character. He's got a different one though. He's got a pulse bomb and it's got somebody's name on it. Not anybody's written in anything legible though. Instead it's to dive onto Vega. Very successful getting a trance out, but the fact that Infected dies makes it all the more worth it for Saints.
Saints step up. I mean, you see the EMP invested here. Vega actually goes down. They couldn't get the protection over to him. We've seen CJ actually gifting ults to Vega. Just didn't get there this time.
It's not over yet. The pulse bomb got eaten, and we still see False in a very aggressive state of mind, taking down Hanbei. Nothing can stop this man. They subbed him in, and he is rearing to go.
Speaking of World Cup, this kind of reminds me a little bit of, you know, just back in the day, that old meta of the D.Va giving the nano boost and just having D.Vas just run down everybody in some of those team fights. Now that World Cup's back, we're kind of seeing that here. Obviously, this isn't World Cup, but it's around the same time, and it's still happening again, man.
Both teams lose their Zens, and the D.Va does start to run them down. When the rally wears off here from Mapeball, though, Saints are going to think they're all the more vulnerable and look for an opportunity of their own.
310. Still a good time bank here. Saints have had time, though, to build up that EMP that set the tone for Trick Room in the last fight. I mean, that's going to be available here for the Saints, and there's no defensive utility here for Trick Room that they can use to keep everybody alive. As long as Saints can maintain Vega's health pool, they should be good here. Okay.
EMP engage out, and that's all the Saints need. That's everything they needed to win this fight. Infected has been put in a room, discorded, and taken down. Both though, Pummy though! The DPS coming up with the goods here for Trick Room. They're gonna need more than that though to see this card out. With King and Tree on it, you can't just fight those two. A cap is made despite some small heroics from Trick Room.
Yeah, it feels like this ship is sailing now. 4-minute time bank here for Saints. Trick Room. They're going to have EMP for this next fight, but it's all about follow-up. Are you going to be able to have it? And I think one thing that the Saints are going to be able to utilize here is going to be that nano boost. If Trick Room tries to EMP then dive Vega, CJ might be able to get there in time and provide that nano boost to protect Vega's life.
There you go on the high ground. Not as easy to dive as it may seem. In fact, he seems incredibly hard to get to. For Trick Room, they've got two supports here, but nothing else. The EMP from pretty far back. How are you going to engage on this? How do you actually get on top of Saints? They make nothing of the EMP.
Didn't even have to invest anything back in the other direction. They're getting picks. They're still pushing forward. In fact, it's maybe going to die. Is going to die.
This is seeming like an unstoppable force, this Saints team. They have all 5 ultimates. Nothing for Trick Room on the horizon. How do you get through this fight, Hurix?
Almost impossible, especially now that Saints are going to have everything available. Trick Room still don't have very much defensive utility to combat it. Yes, they're going to have Transcendence, but Transcendence can't protect you once Biotic Grenade comes in from CJ, and we've seen how aggressive he can be, but a pick there might help.
I mean, it helps, but it doesn't get the job done. Nano onto Vega! He gets 3 for his troubles, and EMP out now from King is but a victory lap for the Saints, who have 3 ultimates to spare. What a push, Urix. That was monumental in proportion, and it felt like Trick Room. Everything they did put up a little bit of pressure, but was toppled easily by the experience and raw power of Saints.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear anymore that main supports can't aim. Vega absolutely ran through Trick Room with that nano boost there. I mean, that is a main support player. That is someone who would typically play Lucio, Ursi, maybe Bap. And here he is on a Zen, aim-centric character, and just dumpstering the lobby.
It's funny, when you think of CJ and Vega and like their flexibility, you think of CJ flexing to the brig and playing double main support.
Yeah.
Double flex support was never like
Going the other direction
something
now.
that you thought about them with ever. Even when we look to like Circuit Royale and stuff with Babzen, it was like that was definitely there, but having Zen and Ana here for them, it's uncharted territory, but they're cruising over it.
I wonder how much this as well comes from the fact that there was that Babzen era kind of thing where CJ, I mean, clearly one of the best Baps that is in the region, has been for quite some time. And maybe that makes sense why Vega has had a lot of opportunity to establish himself on this Zenyatta pick, because clearly the experience is there, or at least it seems like it's there. Now Saints looking to defend here, and interestingly, we talked about the notion that there was going to be a Sigma here for their defense, but instead they choose to go the same route as their attack, and I don't see any reason why not to. I mean, protecting that backline, I mean, absolutely is working.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. In layman's terms here, there ain't much to it. Saints are going to stick to what is going well for them. Hanbei pushes forward now. Ooh, nearly gets Zen gapped. In fact, nearly gets the Sombra afterwards. Good defense by Trick Room for now, but the real meat and potatoes of A is coming up.
See who wants to get the action going for us here. First pick could help determine things, just like we saw when sides were swapped earlier. Infected clearly having a tough time of things, though, as he's going to go down, and still so much support over to Vega, as you can see him playing so aggressively. Unfortunately, not as much protection available in this composition for CJ if False isn't standing right next to him already.
I love how CJ was kind of hiding really effectively from Boat for the first time around, but the second time around, the second Boat got like a whip of him. It was all over. Infected now, fighting it through, gets a better dive than his opposing tank, and Saints have been warned off, at least for a moment.
So Trick Room start pushing their way forward. Things not looking too bad at all for them. They needed this. Beef up that morale a little bit. Saints walked through them on their attack, but now Trick Room looking a lot better. Now very close to capturing point A, but here come the Saints.
Dives in, hack onto Hanbei. Great peel by Mateball, though, to make sure the Zenyatta stays alive. Now it's Trick Room's turn to fight back, and it's False out of mech. Nothing left to contest this point. Tree can stay, but the whip of Magic Mateball has no mercy. Shuts it down, takes him to a point B, and with a sizable time bank, arguably way better than what they had against Redbirds.
Oh yeah, this is looking far superior, and it's against Saints as well. Now, Trick Room have been able to manage that first cap just through dive synergy alone. I mean, they didn't really use anything. Infected was under a tremendous amount of pressure, but ultimately it didn't really account to much. I mean, Infected was able to get out more often than not, and now Trick Room have so many choices. As you see False looking to spy check, they need to find Pummy if they want to get a better EMP opportunity into this first fight here. I don't think that they know Pummy made it this far back.
I mean, it's real hard to spy check this kind of stuff. They shut down the trans. Oh my god!
That could have been a kill.
That could have been so much worse. Pummy better thank his lucky stars. If they take King out afterwards, it'll have been a blessing in disguise that Pummy was there to actually help do it. This is a better engagement than Trick Room could have ever created for themselves.
Yeah, they killed the teleporter, or rather Pummy specifically killed that teleporter and got out alive because of some miscommunication between CJ and Vega, which literally never happens. This might be the first time we've seen that in like 6 months.
Pulse out trance. Oh, it's forced. Even better for Trick Room. They're getting everything they could ever want out of these engagements, but they haven't gotten final blows yet, which is very important to actually finishing off the fights that you started. Oh boy. Well, ain't this a predicament?
Uh-oh. We have seen this before, and we know how this generally goes.
Well,
unfortunately, we are in a pause right now, just to kind of give everybody an update. The map looks like the server dropped for a second there, and it is in a pause right now. I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We are going to be sending things to a quick break. This is going to be decision. See you soon.
Get up off the wall and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Come on, everybody. Get over yourself, put your hands in the air, just shut up and dance. You know we came here to party. Get up off the wall and clap your hands, just shut up and dance. Shut up and dance.
Welcome back, everybody. We appreciate your patience while we figured out what was on the back end. We got everybody, Blizzard admins and everything involved, and the one thing we realized, we simply don't have a time machine. Junker Town is going to be replayed from the start. Both teams had good pushes going for them, so I suspect they can do it again.
Yeah, we'll have to see what both the teams are going to be capable of. We're going to be starting from ground zero as if nothing happened. Obviously, the one thing that did occur is maybe a little bit of a download in strategy, but nonetheless, Saints going to be attacking yet again here and setting things up. Now, a quick little, I guess let's give some reminders. Let's refresh everybody's memories. It has been some downtime since we went to break. So let's go ahead and familiarize everybody with the concepts in play here, with what Saints did well, with what Trick Room actually were able to accomplish once we saw that pivot. So to open things up a little bit, false on this Diva pick. This is what they started with on their initial attack, the one that now no longer exists. You know, let's throw that out of our memory. But a lot of insulation happening here. CJ, Vega popping off, false, really making sure to enable that.
Yeah, it was that peel from false that really did it. Trick Room's usual tricks were no longer doing exactly what they needed to. I think Trick Room would become a lot more wary of that, though. Playing carefully, working towards those ultimates, and trying to play more of a macro game.
Yeah, I think Trick Room are smart to play this a little bit slower. Make sure that they don't go for these super eccentric, aggressive dives. Trying to make sure that they can take out someone like CJ or Vega without really recognizing, okay, this is a grand opportunity before doing so. 30 seconds now into the round here. Saints setting things back up, getting right back into those same default positions, and once again diving into the backline.
Exactly where we expect them to be. Vega targeted initially, but the aggression shifts over towards CJ, and that works out well for Trick Room, who pick off both the supports and force back Saints.
Saints, in the meantime, though, they can reset really, really quickly here. Trick Room does have the benefit of that hacked Mega Pack there, and Pummy making sure to control that for his team. King can't help his team push forward through the use of that because it is shut down by Pummy. You can see Pummy also working his way into the backline, looking for one of those isolated targets. It is going to be either one of these support players, and they're separated now here as well.
Sure. Okay.
One, I guess. Okay.
And they got the pick. Can't argue with results. That's 1-for-1 now, but the other support in a lot of pain. Magic 8-Ball does make it back to that hacked health pack, though, from Pummy, and now regroup. Trick Room are going to have a small spawn advantage. Try and go for that dive again.
See as well, CJ getting forced into the side here, but is well protected by the shielding of these walls in this room here. But now EMP expended. Saints need to return fire.
The EMP is about 15% faster than King's. It's a big opportunity for Trick Room to take down False despite the nano boost and still beat out the tank player for Saints. It's King up to an EMP of their own as they try to finish out the fight with mines.
Oh, they couldn't actually hit the healing. CJ was under some pressure of his own, so couldn't keep False upright. False actually did manage to get to that mech charge. Was certainly really close to actually getting back into mech. Unfortunately, falls to the wayside, so now 2 minutes. Yeah, I mean,
playing so far back. It also makes them more vulnerable to a dive to begin with, though. The threat of forcing out that trance is very real. King's gonna back away.
Isn't anyone?
And here's the important interaction.
Briggs nowhere near.
On Honey, kicks him off! Oh my god, what a sick little play from the Zenyatta. That buys a lot of time for the rest of Trick Room.
And on top of that, doesn't have to utilize the Transcendence either, buying even more time for Trick Room, which is important here because now they can actually stabilize this fight.
The EMP is decent, but it didn't catch Hanbei. It didn't catch the Transcendence. Trick Room gets to restabilize and try and engage, but Saints have an EMP of their own, and that's what you really need to be wary of. King lands at Mateball down, Hanbei down, Vega Trances just to be sure of it. It's a lot from Pummy. It's a lot from Pummy to try and hold on to this point. That's just not going to be fruitful.
We saw some heroics against Redbirds. Not going to happen this time, though. Saints do push their way through. Reminder, though, that it's all about maintaining this momentum here in Trick Room. Not going to be giving up very much space for them to do that, but certainly all that damage that Vega is going to get through their rotations is going to help absolutely catch up very quickly, especially if they can keep Vega continually safe.
They're doing a decent job, but remember, the cart's got to move the entire time, and there is some contest that could come onto tree. King picking off boat now eliminates that pretty significantly. And the position looks great for Saints, to have pushed Infected off the high ground and claimed vision over much of point B.
In the meantime as well, Saints still pushing this payload and not having to spend all too much here. On top of that, King very close to the EMP. This is certainly looking like a potential fight winner. Oh, a great sleep there, and the setup is followed up with Infected falls. Saints can easily push forward now here as well.
Do Trick Room have time to wait for that Wrecking Ball? I think they do. They've got one more in here if they don't get picked off, but that's easier said than done.
You're also pushing into almost every single ultimate at Saints' disposal, and I don't know if Trick Room, I mean, they have to find a pick or there's just no shot.
Here's the dive from Saints. The pulse bomb misses. They're surviving ultimates one at a time. Hanbei's kicks have been incredible, man. Tree down. The bomb forced out as well here. There's a moment of reprieve for Trick Room, and that gives them time to pull the rally.
Oh, the hack coming in as well. They're looking for something. Magic Mate Ball going to be helping to push them forward as well. The EMP comes out. They find the kill onto Pummy, and now they're looking for Infected.
I mean, King just got Pummy, though, to be fair. It shuts down a potential EMP from Trick Room. Now they have to wait, try and bide time for the Stomach to come back. Infected can't land a slam either, and hacked out. He takes more damage than even Hanbei can react to.
Saints finding those kills that they need to. Once again, another investment of that nano boost to Vega helps to solidify some of those kills that they desperately needed in that moment. Saints now do have their Transcendence available. Certainly a lot less time than I think they're used to having in these situations. But with this EMP from Trick Room, I think it all comes down to whether or not Vega can live for just a second and a half should this come out, and making sure that the rest of Saints are in a position where they can be saved if Pummy is looking for an isolated target.
Trick Room having a real hard time dealing with this Sombra of King. They're used to dishing it out and not taking it here. Infected's been hacked every single time he's made the engagement. The slams haven't landed. The EMP's gonna have a hard time landing. Oh, but not the shots from Hanbei. That's the opener they've been looking for.
Big pick there on Vega, who has been a playmaker on this Zenyatta. Taking him out certainly helps Trick Room get rid of quite a bit of lethality from Saints' roster. And now on top of everything, Pummy is getting into position for another EMP. They actually do spot him, I think, for a moment there.
Hack. Oh, he was hacked out of the EMP! It was perfectly timed by King! Taking away a critical ultimate from the pockets of Trick Room. Stealing it, yoinking it, thieving it, conniving, trickery on the side of Saints. Whatever words you want to use, they bought themselves a massive win. How are Trick Room going to fight their way back into this? They've got a pulse, but they got nothing else. False dives into the backline tree.
Oh,
spotting
no.
a vulnerable Trick Room. But what might be more vulnerable than any of that happens to be our server today.
Oh, no. This is the exact opposite of what you want. This is the last possible thing. All right, I'll tell you what. We're not going to waste too much time here trying to figure out exactly what to do here, as, you know, I think clearly we're in another one of those situations here, Dora, where we're going to have to rely on an admin yet again. And we're going to go to a quick break. Hopefully when we come back, we'll have a good answer about what's going on and how to get past it. We'll see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Just a quick little update. We are figuring out everything that's going on. It's just as much a headache for us as it is for you guys, I'm sure. We are so sorry for everything that's happening. We're going to throw you guys to a quick 20-minute break. We're working on it internally, and hopefully when we come back, we've got a solution. Welcome back, everybody. We think we've got a solution up and ready. We're going to continue this series tonight. We're continuing this thing on Rialto. We've shifted up the servers. We think we got everything a little bit more stable for you. So all it is a change of scenery. And you know what? Junkertown was dusty, crusty anyways. Rialto's where it's at. Yeah,
the comp team, close contact with the dev team right now. So hopefully things should work well now. I mean, this should be this should be a good pathway forward. Obviously, there's a lot of competition left in store for us, so we'll have to see how things go. But for the time being, Rialto is the way forward, so that's where we're headed. This is still going to be the escort map. We are now just deviating completely away from Junkertown, which I think to a degree also is slightly better for both teams, because I think both teams probably wanted some aspect of some of the pushes that they've been able to accomplish, or maybe the defense that Trick Room was getting out of their second opportunity. So now that we're going to a different map, it certainly evens the playing field a lot more.
Yeah, I think they're both happy with this. Honestly, a change of scenery, if nothing
shout
else.
Out to them, by the way. Huge shout out to them.
Yeah, both teams have been extremely patient, have been completely ready to play the game in whatever way, shape, or form it's handed to them. It's a tough situation for everyone involved, but like you said, let's start zooming back into Rialto. It's been a while since we've gotten to talk about these two teams, but their series is broken down really interestingly in that they've offered us two completely different looks at Overwatch. Kind of more Overwatch League-esque look from Saints, that they'd offered us up a ton of the Winston and offering us up now the Diva and the more traditional compositions, whereas Trick Room are still intent on running the Rush and the ball comps.
So, getting ready to dive in here. Yeah, those two looks definitely been entertaining to see them clash, because this is kind of like how we started when we were looking at everything, especially jumping into maps like Blizzard World and stuff, where we talked about, okay, we obviously know the direction that a lot of teams are thinking things are going to go, especially some of the higher tier teams and Overwatch League teams that have been indicating that it is going to be a Winston meta, or at least that's what their impression is currently. There's still obviously time for things to develop, or continue to develop rather. But I mean, we've seen these two teams battle it out. Trick Room has played things like Wrecking Ball, and that has been talked about as well, about some of the, best teams, getting great performances out of this as well. But beyond that, even the Reinhardt composition has certainly stood up and had an impact as well. But now as we move into Rialto, I'm starting to question, okay, obviously we know very well at this point what the expectation was for Junkertown, how that would be played out. Looks like very much kind of the same stuff is coming out here for Rialto for both of these teams. We still see False on that Diva. I imagine that their game plan, their strategy, very much the same as well. Already looking to insulate Vega. On the other side, Trick Room looking to make sure that they enable Infected, Boat, Pummy to try to get those kills and find that early pressure. Have a pause coming in. The good news is that this is not the map dropping. This is just a pause. This is a regular pause.
This is a regular mouse dying, player needs a bio break kind of pause, Whew. That's a relief. I saw it for a second. I flinched. I shook for a moment in my boots, but we're all good. It should be all right.
Looks like just figuring stuff out at the moment, but in the meantime, of course, we can talk a little bit more about this map, because I think everybody that has been tuning in since this series started knows quite well just how Junkertown goes, from start to finish, a few times over. Here on Rialto, this is a different map, right? I mean, certainly a little bit less open space. I would imagine to say actually quite a lot less actually open space, especially once you get past point A into some of that street phase of Rialto and going in towards that final stage of the map. Everything's quite a bit more condensed. And when you get these ball compositions, you certainly, there's a lot of flanking routes, there's places to hide, but I think you may want things to be, at least to a degree, a little bit more open, at least as long as you're not trying to approach a backline that's, 500 miles away. We've seen ball teams definitely struggle with that.
If there's ever been a team that can find their way out of a tricky situation, it's been Trick Room. Now, though, as we pull up to the first corner, this is where the real defense starts for them. Vega taking a curious flank here. That's one way to try and assault the high ground. It's not a particularly successful way. Trick Room holds strong.
Stabilizing for the time being. This is what Trick Room was looking for. And now, of course, another thing for Saints to kind of be aware of is this high ground. And I think that actually needs to go the other direction, right?
That is as zen gappity gap as you could possibly get. He just gave him the beans, no toast. Dude, we're not in EU. Look at this. Now Saints just follow up beautifully. Boat falls. Pummy next to go. How do you really hold this card now?
It's like Pummy's going to be offering up at least something, and it actually is going to come up with a kill on the tree, and now Infected can come back in. They have 4 up, soon to be 5, as well as, Boat is almost there.
There's a strong contest here, but Trick Room are having a hard time finding a proper engagement, despite the early pick that they got. And with Vega finding Hanbei again! Just walks at him and takes him down! This is looking good for Saints! They've got that spawn coming in that they lost earlier. Infected's down, the contest is hard, and Trick Room are falling by the wayside.
Just like that, Saints need to actually finalize this fight. They need to finish these last few kills, otherwise Trick Room could stall and buy time for their respawn to come in, and there's the EMP to do just that.
And it's more than big enough. Pummy and Boat hit the deck. Infected wasn't hit by it, but spawn advantage is not enough to make up for 2 whole lost souls there.
So Saints come away with the first objective here. You see also Trick Room starting to look like they're swapping at least a few things up here. As Pummy goes down, that is who I was mentioning, you know, that Cassidy brought in. Certainly good at marking some of these flanking heroes. The Sombra from King, the Tracer from Tree as well, and also can provide a little bit of burst potential as well with that new E in Overwatch 2, right?
I'm wondering what happened to Tree there. Nevertheless, though, everything is okay. All they need to do is just make sure the cart's pushing past this corner, and then the real fight can start for this high ground. I hand it to Boat, though. He's doing a good job of contesting here and just ripping time off the clock more than anything else, especially when Saints have the ultimates that they do. That time's valuable for Trick Room being able to build up to match, especially with the position they have. They should be able to convert this. The mines are in on the background. Vega's forced to Transcendence. No other way through.
Oh, great sleep dart. Actually caught Infected there. So now Saints can push forward and they won't get just mauled around by that Wrecking Ball.
A ball down though, Pummy to follow. The anti-nade was actually huge from CJ. It denied the Transcendence any value.
3 minutes now. Saints continue to push forward here. Transcendence, yeah, it got pulled out there, but Trick Room just cannot seem to find these kills. Saints just doing such a good job of keeping that backline protected. CJ and Vega working well off of one another. There's an EMP. Hanbei drops.
Has not been having a good time on this map, I'll tell you what. Infected now for the contest, but Saints are storming forward unencumbered by anything. The swells of their pushes forward have grouped together to make one even more monstrous.
They're building up into a tsunami, it feels like. I mean, they've had certainly a few waves to look back on, you know, at this point on this escort, but Trick Room certainly need to find a way to get this stop, and at least, hey, that'll buy them at least something, right? I mean, Boat collecting that kill on Vega. He's going to go back, though, and make a swap. They're completely shifting now focus to the Reinhardt.
Infected doing a good job stopping the hacks, and honestly, you have to think Infected's ball is good, but this is where the comfort lies. And I think on this last point, it's perfectly viable. Trick Room want to stop those hacks coming through, want to stop the efficacy of that Sombra, and it's a fantastic way to. Grouping up around this corner. Gonna be hard to avoid her forever, but they at least put off their problems for now. A blocked hack, and Trick Room holding on the cart. Boat denying Tree any space, and now at the rally, Trick Room looking moving forward.
Oh, big pulse bomb. Magic Mate Ball's down.
Rally.
That's a lot of the support. The rally gone as well.
Yeah, the rally falls away from 8-Ball. The stick was massive, and without it, Trick Room topple over.
249. Just keeping our eyes on that one. Saints are looking to reproduce a push from Junkertown that they wanted back, and they're going to probably get it here as long as they can get Vega's Transcendence online. That can help support them in their push forward. Trick Room need to find some lethality through that, and that's going to be a hard ask for anyone.
That always hacked. Short-lived for Pummy, who's now being dove by 2 members. Immortality Field working overtime right now for Trick Room, but it does get the job done. Transcendence to the backline gives a new lease on life to this dive from Saints, though, and with that extra time, False is all the more dangerous. It's not a 249, but by Rialto standards, it's right there.
especially when you consider too that Trick Room, I mean, they were kind of late to the party with that Reinhardt composition, but that is one composition that on this map, particularly point A, point C, certainly point C, you actually really like to see that composition there. It actually does work out really well. There's some linear sections, some tighter corners where they can speed boost right on top of you, and if they are on top of you, that's a very tough composition to actually win out against. And Trick Room just pulled it out a little bit later than I would have liked. They didn't really have time to, you know, get a stop, build some momentum, and start rolling ultimates. I'm curious to see if they start with that now.
I think we have to be starting to question the ball a little bit. They definitely do look better on attack with it. The defense has raised a lot of questions of the efficacy of this composition, but the attacking sides they've offered us have been pretty good, if not great.
That's
fair.
Yeah.
There are grounds for still running. Granted, we only got glimpses at their attacking sides, but for the 2 times that we saw, like, it was solid. They were setting good times. I don't think there's any reason to swap it here, at least.
213, just like you mentioned, on Rialto, just genuinely a solid time. One that Trick Room are going to be hard-pressed to try to match or beat. Not to say that they can't, but with this Wrecking Ball composition, they have to kind of run through Saints, which is, I mean, basically what Saints did. I mean, they dominated in a lot of those team fights, almost every single one of them, actually, to be able to establish that time in the first place. And we know that with these compositions, especially with the Wrecking Ball, I mean, these fights take a long time to actually resolve. We see them broken down, there's chaos, there's brawling. It just takes time.
Yeah, finishing a map with these respective compositions on the field is even harder than it would be with something like Rush versus Rush, where those spawns are a lot longer. Saints have set themselves a beautiful position to try and win this. Trick Room, though, a sail forward nevertheless. Infected falls, though, and with that, their assault is, well, not so much anymore.
You see that teleporter position as well for King to fall back, ready to defend the back line or fall back to their welcoming arms should he need the help instead. Great positioning here for Saints. I mean, this is just going to be so hard to break. This is one of the problems that we saw Trick Room running into, especially against Redbirds. Funny enough, on Junkertown, but it feels weird saying that name all of a sudden. I don't know why, but Trick Room are kind of experiencing some of that same issue crop up here in this matchup, where that backline is so hard to get to.
It's so insulated between these walls, and I think the real trouble is actually not necessarily being in the Sombra. Oh, the Tracer, 1 HP! GJ's down! Drops from the safety of the high ground. The warm embrace of a roof, floor, and walls was not enough to keep him alive once he hit the deck. Now it's about finishing out the fight for Trick Room. It's easier said than done, though. As the cart moves forward, they're getting shot at from every single high ground, and they just can't reach them all.
Yeah, and they're not even able to push the payload forward at all, too. And now Trick Room forced to back up a big kill onto Tree. They actually tried to bite off a little bit more than they could actually chew. Vega's going to be falling back. This is a this is a fight one for Trick Room at this point, and I think really just off the back of Tree, maybe getting a little bit, I think, too aggressive in that one.
All of Saints overheated for a second. They have 5 ults. Actually, this is kind of contestable. When you've got a bomb, like, you can throw balls at this cart and not feel bad about it. Yeah, there's the EMP. Deadeye comes out, and it is what a whisper of a retort from Trick Room.
I think even better for Saints as well is the fact that we did see both of those DPS players actually invest.
Might not be that good. Infectus found a pick.
They still need their supports to come back. They still need their supports to come back.
Yeah, to be honest, it's just that difference, right? With Hanbei and Mateball and those respective supports, it does take a while.
Yeah, not too much speed to be had there. Magic Mateball can just kind of shield bash, but that's not going to offer too much speed when Saints are just, they spawn and they're just in sightline already.
Nice spy check by Boat. Where's the real dive here? Like we said, you gotta find CJ and Vega. They've got a Nano Boost and a Transcendence respectively. Nano Boost goes down onto the Zen to avoid using the Transcendence. Infected buys one with the Mines though and taking down False. It's a tank trade, which is way better for Trick Room, giving them space to take the cart. You may not have killed the backline, but you gotta give your hat off to Infected. Pulled the Nano, didn't pull the Trance, but pulled more than enough attention away.
Yeah, massive play. Not only that, but also separated the backline to make sure that False, I mean, really couldn't get any support. CJ and Vega were both turned trying to deal with the Wrecking Ball, and the Wrecking Ball just has a little bit more personal survivability and elusiveness, certainly more so than the Diva, especially when you see how much damage Trick Room were just throwing in at False. Now, of course, Trick Room on the high ground here. They're going to be looking to hold on to this, at least for the time being, while they are working that cart around the corner. And we'll see this 1v1. Ooh, actually slipping by is going to be both.
Oh, forces the trance out too with the pulse bomb. Tree tries to hide that back line, but he's unable to obfuscate it. Hanbei, though, same thing goes, but he doesn't have a trance to save himself, or at least doesn't want to use it. That's Vega under duress. Boat gives his life for him. Trick Room starts their push forward with a dive in from Magic 8 Ball, just trying to help Infected, but there's not enough damage pressure to actually follow up on the Wrecking Ball.
So things stabilize. Saints come out somehow ahead on that fight, and nonetheless you see this time bank, and this is going to be something that I think certainly we're going to have to keep reminding ourselves to keep an eye on, because Saints, with that time bank of 213 here on this map, that's going to be, I mean, a massive pressure on Trick Room's shoulders to try to get something relatively close so they still have a shot going into point A, a point that they struggled on. We see this flank here by Tree. Nobody has spotted him at all yet, and he does have that pulse bomb.
Waiting for the right target. Spots Pummy. Blinks through, thinks better of it. Now the rest of Trick Room in front of him. Got a lot of options, but isn't grouped up enough with his team. They want to find a pick. They need to do it while they're corralled together. They are around Infected, who dives up, gets another sleep from CJ, who just has not missed him today. Granted, that ball's a big target, but nevertheless, man, it's hard to hit that many in a row. The pulse bomb as well connects from Tree. Trick Room, despite the ultimates, despite all the tools available, and there's going to be even more in the next fight, this push stops.
I think Trick Room are going to look to brawl in this next one. They have to be careful, though, because if they do decide to go ahead and take Magic 8 Ball's rally and do something with it, as we see play here, the stick from Tree, I mean, finding the kill through Hanbei's Transcendence, that is huge. I mean, Trick Room basically need to find something exactly like that, because that's what they're going to have to contend with going into this next fight. Vega will have Transcendence, and therefore a lot of sustain, but you can one-shot through it if you land a Pulse, or if you land some Mines.
You know, that fluidity that we always talk about with Trick Room, how they're able to move around teams and set up for dives constantly. It's not really been there against Saints. Saints are doing such a good job of monitoring every single angle. And the second one player from Trick Room steps out of line, even an inch, there's 3-4 people on top of him. Saints' dive has been phenomenal in its ability to target out specific players. Oh, and this time it's probably Infected again. 500 health on the top high ground. Oh, a Discord Orb as well. He's feeling the hurt, but he doesn't go down thanks to the rally of 8 Ball, who storms forward, keeping the cart going. Saints will just leave. Abscond, ignore the ultimate from the Brigitte, and look to re-engage with an EMP. Here it is. King drops it on the backline. 8 Ball, Hanbei fall, sustain gone. Trick Room all but collapsed.
And with that kill onto Infected as well, the only thing left for Trick Room is a hope and a prayer. Pummy has gotten them out of situations like this before, but not this time. He leaves, and so do the chances of Trick Room taking this map. Saints get the win, and guess what? We're moving past Escort. We've done it. We've done it. We've done it.
This was not just a team effort. This was a family effort. I feel like I've gotten to know all of you so well in chat. Hurix, you're like a brother at this point. It really has been a journey.
Fair enough. I'm a little bit upset that you didn't feel like that before. I don't understand why we had to go through the Junkertown Groundhog Day before we got to that point together, but
I think you've got to experience the lows, you know?
Oh, okay. You're saying we didn't have lows before?
No. I don't know about your experience, but
okay.
I can think I speak for the both of us, but I say, happy to say we're moving on a map type, and to be honest, it should just bring the series even more to light. We were talking about how much map pick matters for each of these teams, and I think that still continues to reign true.
Yeah, I mean, Saints kind of get what they were looking for here, at least to a degree here, because of the fact that they were still able to play exactly the same way that they wanted to on that Junkertown. Obviously, this was, I mean, it started as Trick Room's pick, but you know, we had to make some alterations and adapt to the situation. Obviously, hats off to both these teams for you know, certainly being respectful and adapting with us. But Saints, they get that lead, and now, again, like you talked about, this is where that map pick stuff kind of comes into play. And I don't know. Certainly with push, I know that in past metas we've had the same kind of discussion, right? Where map pick can matter, especially with the rock paper scissors element of things like New Queen Street versus Colosseo. But now there's a whole new element in the mix where you have this map type that certainly kind of fits right in between both of those maps, and most teams like to go to that map. And it should be no surprise which map I'm talking about, because we're going there yet again, probably for the 1 millionth time. I think maybe only 1 or 2 times we've actually seen something like Colosseo, and that's it. It's otherwise been this one.
I mean, I think you gotta just give credit to the dev team, man. Esperanza is just a good map. I think it really is becoming the comfort pick of a lot of these push teams. And to be fair, like, it is a fantastic map, and it opens up so many options. So if things do continue to go wrong for Trick Room, they can fall back onto other compositions and try and experiment a little bit more here, which I think is something that they definitely need in a moment like this.
Yeah, and as we get kind of prepared to go into this one as well, something that we do have to make mention of is the likelihood of Mikey coming back in for false. We haven't actually gotten that confirmed
I've seen that
yet.
guy in like an hour. Yeah. He was on the team.
He was out for one map, but it's been probably like 90 minutes since we've last seen him. It's only been one map somehow. But yeah, I mean, we don't have confirmation yet of whether or not he is actually going to sub in, but I would imagine that is going to happen here. Certainly when you look at this map in particular, we have seen a little bit more success with teams playing things like Winston, playing things like the Reinhardt as well. So we'll have to see if they do wind up going with that sub. Otherwise, Saints will probably, if they don't do that substitution, they would probably be just going in with that same, that same composition rather of the D.Va, trying to insulate their backline. But we do now have confirmation. Let's go ahead and just get rid of all of that. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Mikey's coming in. We know.
Soak it up. You're an oracle. I get it.
Okay.
Can predict exactly what they're gonna do.
Not very hard to get that one right, though. I'll say it. I won't give myself too much credit. Yeah.
Saints coming in though, putting Mikey in, bolstering this up. I also want to go back to the beginning of the day we were talking about with Trick Room. I mean, this is a team. To say they've been through a lot today is an understatement. Now they have been playing this game for more than their mothers would allow them as children at this point. Well, Tree especially, I think, is like
Tree
really approaching that point.
CJ, Tree, I think, is also 16, if I'm not mistaken, but on
past
Northwood.
Their bedtime. Look, man, like, it is late. It's past my bedtime for this game. So Trick Room, I'm sure they're exhausted. It is a huge thing coming into these maps, and being able to reset that mental, especially for a team that is not as experienced in this level of matches, in this level of competition where the stakes are high and the maps are long. That can be a huge thing, and honestly, there's no better place to learn it than under the pressure and the lights right now, but there's no harder place to learn it either.
Yeah, some maps longer than others, but hey, we've gotten past the Crucible, and we're now into a map number 4 that should be, extremely exciting, especially as we kind of go back to, I don't want to say basics, because that's not the right phrasing, but we are going back to the origins of what both of these teams were kind of going for at the beginning of everything. Now, remember, even in that context, Trick Room took that first map. They set themselves up for success by being able to take control, put Saints on the back foot, and now obviously, yes, they're down 1-2 in the set, and Mikey's coming back in. I think Saints would probably say that they feel like their best compositions are the ones where Mikey is in, because that's just, how most of the maps are right now. Not to say anything about false. False is obviously great where those maps fall into place. It's just there are more Mikey maps right now than there are false maps, and even with him coming in, I think Trick Room, you cannot count them out because they took control. They've been playing up so well. It has been a long day, but you certainly can't say they're feeling ice cold at this point. They are more than warmed up at this stage. It's been like 12 hours of gameplay at this stage.
It's a lot, but who knows? Maybe the break helped them out a little bit. Maybe that's what they needed to reset. Trick Room coming into Esperanza. They've got the Rhine locked in. I don't know if this Genji's going to stay, but it would certainly make things interesting. On the other side, the Winston composition we expected to come out. And the name of the game there was Keep Tree Alive. Mikey and CJ did a fantastic job at that before, and I suspect it'll be more of the same.
Worked out so well for them on Blizzard World. All right, let's see what it can accomplish here. Trick Room not opting for the Mei, the traditional pick of this Reinhardt composition. Instead have vote onto the Tracer. This is going to offer a little bit more backline pressure, certainly the ability to mark King, and that might be something that they're actually explicitly looking to accomplish against Saints.
Yeah, just stopping that flank, stopping that dive triangle. Tracer more effective than the Mei for them in this situation. Pummy dropped low though as the dive comes in. Mikey wants his soul, but it's Pummy who claims his. The fight flipped on its head as it's now the protect Pummy train for Trick Room, pulling a card out of Saints' book even.
Saints turning this one though a little bit. Vega goes down, still a couple of members up for Saints. So what I imagine this is going to actually amount to is just less distance covered by the push from Trick Room, where they win a fight, they normally would get about 15. Yeah, now they're only going to get 7.
Yeah, it's not much to write home about, but Trick Room will take what they can get right now. Small victories for this team. They've got to build them up. As they round the corner, stopping King from getting around the side is going to be harder in a position like this, but they're doing it nevertheless. Sticky lands onto Mikey. The pressure now increasing from Trick Room, but King spots out Boat in the backline, likely pinged by a teammate. Immediately seeks him out. Trick Room are going to try and fight back with this amplification matrix, and Pummy firing through it does exactly enough. No support line means no fight for Saints. There are very few ways to win this now.
Very few indeed. Trick Room, it's like they're going to solidify that fight win. Saints, though, still making them work for all these wins, and this is such a fast composition between all the different elements that they bring forth that they can get quick recontests, and I think that's so important for this. Trick Room not going to get a ton of distance before Saints are on top of them, throwing down Kitsune Rush and trying to smother them with pressure.
It's going to be a lot. Can they withstand it? Can they find the peel they need? Kitsune Rush, like you said, available. High ground, no longer so. Trick Room flipped the map. What an interesting take on how to play this. The Shatter lands a stick on a Pummy, ignored by the Immortality Field. A pick onto CJ even. Really creative stuff coming out from Trick Room. This is what you need. 12 hours deep into an Overwatch tournament, but it might not be enough. Tree's got an overclock, and boy, is he cooking. Boat trades it back. It's 2 for 2 now in the fight. 3 up for either side, but Mikey's got a lethal Primal Rage and a set Mateball into the skybox. Infected can do nothing but watch as his teammates fall by the wayside. Cart flip. Saints win.
Incredibly well played by Trick Room. It's just not enough. I mean, the star power of Saints proves once again to be insurmountable. Trick Room are going to have to continue making, I mean, genuinely great plays like that if they want to have a chance at all. But even still, it becomes difficult.
Got a few more tools this time. It took everything from Saints. It was every ultimate from them all. Player with the ultimate for Trick Room falls. Hanbei is being sent back to spawn. Maple to follow. They've got to go count their sheep once again.
Yeah, I mean, that was a beautiful setup by Saints. Even called it beforehand. Just a perfect opportunity for a boop, just to kind of unsettle that setup from Trick Room as they rotate in. And as soon as that shield stops covering even just one member of Trick Room, then that player just gets booped off, isolated, and now Saints take the lead and are starting to get closer to a position where they can actually start taking advantage of that lead. However, Trick Room wanting to make sure that they can rip Mikey down quickly. They have the Amp Matrix to help out.
You want to rip the whole team down. Mikey's health bar practically non-existent at this point. How's this guy alive? I don't know where he went. He's got to have found some hole that nobody knows about. Either way, eventually will die to vote. Rest of the team will keep this cart going. Flip it around for Trick Room. They've got ults. They've got momentum, Yurks. Can they keep it going?
16-meter deficit, looking to go ahead, get back to neutral. Not capped out there by the Saints, though, and that's going to be important. Saints not going to have that respawn. I don't believe it was taken. It might have actually been. We've made that mistake before, but don't believe so. Nonetheless, Trick Room, they do have that Shatter. Nothing to block it. Hanbei, actually, great job to defend against the Pulse Bomb, and there's the Earth Shatter.
It doesn't connect, though. It was meant for Mikey, and it just could not land. Tree's got Hanbei, and now you're locked in a room with 5 Saints players poking at you from any side. This is as rough a situation as they come. Trick Room are going to have to fight their way out, if anything, and they're beginning to, but without Boat, doesn't seem very possible.
Yeah, Infected can try as he may to charge his way out of this one, but absolutely swarmed. Still, managed to equalize quite a bit, and we still see this going back and forth, back and forth. But Saints are now pushing into Trick Room territory once again. They still have that lead, but they're also going to have, I mean, a completely packed list of ultimates to throw in onto Trick Room. And the main thing here is that a lot of this pressure could easily go any which way. Saints don't have one target that they kind of have to focus on to win a fight. They can just throw up the Kitsune Rush and dive on anyone.
Everyone's got to be careful on Trick Room. This is the push that could win Saints the map. If they mess it up, it could be the one that loses them the map all the same, though. Ultimates dropped in from above, investing everything into stopping that robot. They'll stop Infected, that's for sure. Sound Barrier, late from Mateball, and in fact, it catches the rest of the team. Trading out for Tree, but there's still a problem. Mikey's alive, kept so by the Immortality Field is on Bay, but Sound Barrier was just too much to tackle. Saints spend 2 ultimates in a very important fight, but that cart push matters a lot.
Yeah, two ultimates as well out from Trick Room, but Saints are still going into this well equipped with 3 fully charged
ults. Did they
ults.
stop this? Oh, it's close. Good to see you. I know, maybe you could have gone for it. It would have been really risky, though. I don't think Trick Room are in a mindset where they're doing it. Yeah, this fight's no easier as well. Saints so many tools to push in with. Mikey immediately dives, takes a boatload of damage, pops immediately the Primal Rage, but with Tree down from the dive, things get a lot harder. Who's going to finish off all this Primal Rage damage that Mikey's doing? Certainly not Tree. King trades back 1. Trick Room beginning to come up on ultimates as well. They don't need them to turn this fight back, and with the robot already moving across the map, a delayed pick onto Mikey means big progress for Trick Room.
Yeah, in fact, it kind of popped off there as well. I mean, the Reinhardt, it's so difficult on this pick to get a tremendous amount of value because, I mean, what are you really cleaving? It's not like you're facing the mirror, but still was able to land his hammer onto a few targets, key ones at that, to help finish the fight. And now they're looking to actually equalize here, and he has the Shatter to help them. Oh, he could go for it here.
He could just pop it on the Tree. I mean, that's for Tree, it's almost always worth it. He missed wide. From behind the robot, it's just hard to see. They need to push the robot up as far as they can go. Remember, the ball has a hard time actually sustaining and keeping the pressure and stopping the robot from moving forward. The Trick Room rain on the parade of Saints by just dealing damage constantly. Mikey low, avoids the charge, but catches a sticky. Kitsune Rush out for CJ. Can they convert?
Oh no, through the Kitsune Rush. Trick Room not only have won the fight, but now they're going to cap and they're going to take the lead without question here. And I think they'll probably wind up taking this next fight past this choke point. So Saints not in a good defensive position, and certainly not with a lot of time, an ideal amount of time for them to win this fight, take it back to neutral, win another fight, and extend.
It just stayed too long. I mean, there's nothing else to it. Triple blinks away. Could have gone down the hallway maybe, but I think under that much stress, it's just not something going through your mind. Infected now have to tank for a team with only 4 players. They want to take this fight forward. If they're going to die anywhere, they might as well die while the robot's far back. But with Tree down, numbers are even. The pulse bomb's lobbed out. King's yelling Kobe in the columns, but unfortunately, not quite the same level of accuracy. Sound Barrier engagement now from Saints as they look to re-up themselves in the fight, but there's not much left. There's a lot of tools coming up for Trick Room here in the Shatter, namely the first of them.
Oh man, that is just the value you get from the Shatter. There's really nothing to block it now. I mean, even the Winston is gone, and that even is a far cry of trying to be able to block, but nonetheless, Saints still stabilizing somehow through the use of Mikey, just rolling around, and Boat again gets caught by him.
I think Trick Room are playing this correctly. They don't need to hard win this fight. They have a lead, they have an ultimate economy advantage. They spend when Saints spends, and that's the mindset that they've got right now. They don't want to invest to win this fight, and I think that's absolutely the correct move.
Yeah, 36 seconds now on the clock. Now remember, Saints... Yeah, I think this is a smart play from Trick Room, but remember, there still is a shot here for Saints to come back in this one, obviously still with 25 seconds. I mean, they are going to be able to move past that first objective. They did already cap, so there isn't going to be that crazy downtime that you typically see. So this actually will be the final fight of this map.
Mateball cannot die before getting that sound barrier off. That is the rules of engagement right now. A stick on the Tree, kept alive, but only just. Kitsune rushes out from both sides. Now the sound barrier's up for Mateball. Can he land it? Can he bring his team back up? No, Infected falls! The sound barrier's too late! Trick Room are fighting without a tank. The mine's on point by the space. Someone's got to go through. Who's going to do it? Nobody can get through the mines! How are they going to contest this? They only just do, but Pummy gives his life for a Death Blossom, the victory cry of Saints. They take themselves up to match point.
So many things went right there for the Saints. The timings where they found those 2 picks on the boat that allowed them to put the bot in a much better position to take some of these fights. Also, way prior to that, they had already capped out the first point. That gave them an opportunity to actually push past the choke and not have to fight their way through it in that last fight. And then you look at that pick coming in from Tree. I mean, who else was going to give them that chance, that shot? And that's exactly what they needed to get the job done. Now, Saints on series point.
Tournament point. It's a tough one, man. And honestly, Trick Room had themselves set up. Realistically, that sound barrier, 95% of the time, saves Infected, but Mateball just a little too slow to the draw, not wanting to invest it too heavily, maybe thinking that Saints had one to match, maybe they were worried about a better beat. There's so much going on in moments of pressure like this. But this was one of the best opportunities Trick Room were gonna get to turn this around, and now it gets even harder.
So much more difficult to be in a situation where you're 1-2, you could equalize. The whole series, you've been playing for so long today, and now, of course, it's 3-1. You now need to win 3 maps in a row, and I mean, you really don't have many opportunities to go ahead with that map selection that we've been talking about being actually quite important, or should be quite important. Clearly, it actually hasn't been, at least not for Trick Room.
No, I mean, it brought them close. I don't think you can argue that East Bronze didn't bring it close, especially after the first map. It's hard to bring something of the caliber of Antarctica that's going to recreate that same situation that they had before, that they were able to leverage into a big map win. So I think East Bronze did its job. I'm not going to doubt it quite yet. We're heading over to a 5th map, though. That's just after a second. I promise this break is going to be quick. Welcome back, everybody. We've got a close series, but one that leans heavily in favor of Saints. The maps have been close, the gameplay's been close, but the scoreline is not. 3-1 is the lead they have, and in order to try and bring it back, well, we're going to take it to Lijiang Tower.
Moving on into our second bout of Control. But remember, this may look like it has been nothing but Saints on your screen, but there is a one missing in this list. The first map of the series was Control, and that's where Trick Room got their hot start. They did win that map, and they looked real good in the process as well. I mean, it was actually a little bit shocking for us because had high expectations for Saints. We thought, okay, surely this is going to be back and forth, and we expected to say, Saints to maybe get out a little bit of a head, but Trick Room could really surprise, has a lot of potential, and yet a little bit of some faltering. Still, though, a very close match, especially through the last couple of maps where we've seen Trick Room, altering some of their strategies, trying to figure some things out, but they really need that heroic moment that they had in that Redbirds match if they're going to be able to get their way back into this series, and then do so as well, knowing full well that every map after this one would be Saints map choice.
It's tough, but as much as, you're saying it's going to take heroic, if that sound barrier lands and saves infected, we're in a tied game. So
probably
does it really take heroics, or is it just like one less choke? And again, that's how this team is always going to be. We talk about these players, they're high caliber, but they're players that aren't necessarily used to being in the upper echelon of contenders. They're not used to that pressure of grand finals or days like this. And so it's in those moments that they kind of sink or swim, and they can just tread water a little bit longer. It seems like they can compete.
Who's ready to get this done?
Definitely so close. I mean, so competitive between these two teams. Obviously, I don't want to say a great surprise, because going into this, we knew Trick Room was going to be good. But to see them as grand finalists, to be able to knock out Redbirds, and now be in this situation, they've got a map on Saints and a chance to maybe get a second. They were so close already to getting a second, and here they are on the point, looking for that early point presence. Take on Saints, who do have that Winston composition. We've talked about this dynamic between these two compositions. Now let's see it play out. Which one really is the best?
It's been, wow, a first pick onto King. That relieves a lot of pressure. Mikey is screwed. All right, pumping back to the Bastion, though, something that I definitely think we should talk about. We haven't seen this pick in hours. Since Redbirds dominated it on one map, they just stopped running it. But bringing it back out here, I think, is a great opportunity to kind of refresh the comp.
Yeah, and for anyone that's just kind of tuning in, it's grand finals. I mean, the way that this comp works, you just set up, make sure that everybody's in a position, speed, wall up, wheel up, and then just run down whoever is in front of you. And now Saints, they've decided, okay, you know what? Let's make sure that they don't have any targets to do that too. Mikey going to be very slippery with this wrecking ball. They're sending people up into the air. They also have King on the Genji, which does have the deflect as well.
Oh, with the follow-up from Mikey as well. These rockets from Tree rain true. I mean, we talk about the Pharaoh 1 tricks and you and stuff like that, but man, the Tree Pharaoh also does hit a little different. Having this guy up your sleeve is no joke, and it's going to cap the point for him as well.
This looked real solid for them too. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen this map or seen this this comp choice. But remember, this was from the exact same series that we're in right now, just a few maps ago. So it got pretty close for them there on Icebreaker. Now here is in a second opportunity on what we'll call, or what we've been calling, Day Market.
Justice from the back. Tree managed to get one, and fight quickly ended with the help of CJ and an anti-nade.
See, Saints doing well with this comp swap here. Trick Room obviously making that adaptation. Hanbei on the Kiriko.
I like this.
Also, the Sombra, really, really good pick. Helps them deal with King, Tree, Mikey, Vega. Certainly gives them a lot more options than just trying to bash their head into a brick wall that is chasing someone around like Mikey, or trying to apply damage from range to Tree, who is, I mean, literally miles away at this stage.
I mean, when they won their previous control map, this is the exact swap. that they brought out in order to try and counter out Mikey and CJ, and it works beautifully. CJ's dead, Mateball traded, Shatter should be free, and it's King on the ground. Oh, what a conk by Tree, though. Now it's Boat in trouble. Same thing goes for Hanbei. Tree's turning this one around. Pummy's managed to kill himself with a magnetic grenade. Very skillful. Off the side of the map goes Mikey with Infected, but some heroics from Tree really saved the day there.
Kind of a nice play as well from Tree, because it gives it basically disables the opportunity for Infected to drop that charge. He just goes into the air and momentum would take him off no matter what. Now 94%. Someone has to get onto the point.
Easier said than done. 97 crests over. Oh, you see that barrage just the same as that, you Jerks. From the window, they know it's coming though.
He better not.
They know it's coming. He better not. Trick Room backs him off with 2 ultimates spent. It's not a bad fight for Trick Room, to be honest.
Yeah, not at all, especially considering Saints used the exact same amount. They used that combo of Nano into the Blade. King just unable to find those kills. Sound Barrier just enough sustain. Now you look forward. Okay, some of that hack potential that you were hoping for, now you're going to have quite a lot of it. EMP at the ready for Boat.
Boat backs away rather than getting spotted
out. For Tree and Vega.
Oh, they want the hack off the map doesn't really work the same though. King
only one
will die to it. Barrage picks up 2 though. Tree 3 in the fight. We've talked about it is Sojourn for some time, but I think it is high time that we remember just how dangerous as far it can be. It wins maps. It's won a lot of tournaments. They could do this one for them. Remember, they are on tournament point, and they're looking to make it map point here. Maybe, though, they can turn some around. Trick Room back with 4, make it 5. They're catching them lacking. Saints thought they had it in the bag.
Yeah, without Tree, I don't really think a major hope in actually turning this, especially with all the damage that Trick Room still have on the table. But the problem here now, while they do have things close, is that they don't really have, the sustain that they may need to deal with that constant pressure, that threat. It might. Just too late. Okay.
The things they do have are good though. Like that Shatter, what's gonna block it?
That's true. And they also take away the Pharah, so that's one more target that they actually could hit with it.
Last fight now. Trick Room have kind of bought their way into this map. Infected knows what he wants. He knows what he's not. And he's not taking no for an answer. Blocks the sleep as well from CJ. Knows it's coming. Takes down Tree. Pummy's managed to kill himself again with the magnetic grenade. This man can't catch a break. And he's going to maybe wish he didn't. Because the backline's chain healing. Overtime's burning down. It's going to be a tough ask for Saints to get this one back. But they've got the players, they've got the numbers. Trick Room with a pulse bomb out. Don't land it onto the Mercy. Maybe, just maybe, Saints can turn this around.
Oh, Vega just doesn't have the help that he needed. CJ just made a swap, but that means he's back in the respawn. Overtime ticks down in Trick Room. Oh man, they've got themselves a round 1.
I saw the way they're doing this is so unorthodox. This is the second time on the control point they've rolled out with the Bastion, won a fight, lost a fight to the ball swap, and then went cast Sombra and just dominated. I'm not sure Saints have offered up a realistic answer to this composition yet, with the Sombra included, that's looked consistent on control.
Now when you move forward too, I'm starting to I'm already thinking about what's ahead, right? I mean, you look at Gardens, I think that could pose a little bit of threat, at least with regards to what Trick Room did here, but it's kind of still a similar map, right? I mean, there's some opening section. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense about how they got away with that one.
That's funny.
Shout out again to the replay. How many times did we say that yesterday? Now we just started up again today.
Yeah, our ops team's been obsing as long as these players have been playing. That has got to be so exhausting. Shout out them. Trick Room though, same comp, same point. They bring the Sombra to start this time, having learned from their past mistakes. How will Mikey respond? He hasn't successfully been able to engage into this before. And now it's Tree under much duress. Does manage to keep himself alive, but Boat will handshake and take away 30% of an EMP, while Vega takes away a death. Shot out by Pummy just from the backline. That is a straight up pick. Just good shooting from the Cassidy.
Mikey's dead here as well. Name one time that you and I have been casting in this qualifier where the Winston team won the neutral fight.
When both teams were playing Winston.
Okay, fair.
Don't you look dumb.
Maybe Ataraxia? Or on Antarctic Peninsula? Maybe? Trying to, we're having to remember back multiple days at this stage. Just feels like this composition is just prone to getting picked early, and it sets them behind. However, a lot of healing given to CJ because of a lot of that pressure that they are receiving without that shield. Now they can start with this Kitsune Rush.
If Trick Room can just live to EMP, if they can just live to Boat getting it off, they might be able to turn it around. Hanbei goes down, but the health bar's all low. The fight lies on a knife's edge. And Trick Room are trying to cut their way through. Saints get a point flip, but this is not over.
Okay, Saints get control. It's just going to be a matter of who is able... Oh, that's a big pick up there.
Pummy's on something, dude. This guy is on one. They back up, wait for their tanked. Oh, wow, that's a fat dead eye. It's just Vega caught in it. I think the Saints are lucky that it was only that much. Trick Room recap a point that they called theirs.
Just like that as well. Saints, I mean, they cannot push in. We got a pause coming in. And once again, going to say this, it's just a pause. Everybody calm down, relax. Let's all just take a breath.
I can see you typing. You in chat. I can see you.
It's fine. It's fine. Okay.
When you're playing this long, mice are gonna die, you know?
Yeah. Headsets probably ran out of batteries. You know, same thing with the mice. Something went wrong, but yeah, not a big deal. We'll be able to get back into this match for sure. Not too much of a worry. So everybody that's stressing right now, let's just all collectively take a breath. I'm one of all of you. So yeah, we can all take a breath together. It's fine.
A man of the people, Urix. Beautiful. Let's get back to this match, though. Trick Room's doing fantastic on this control point. And they don't show signs of stopping. Once they implemented the Sombra, I mean, not only the Boat Sombra, Pummy Sombra is incredible. Pummy is getting a lot of picks. Not something that you regularly expect from him. We were talking about players stepping up, and we talk about the playstyle that Pummy has of, like, being very supportive, being able to step up every once in a while, but not really being that kind of, like, player that you look to so much as being a strong, consistent, supportive one. Right now, he's bailing them out of a lot of situations, and more importantly than bailing them out of bad situations, he's creating good ones. He's finding first picks and creating situations where Trick Room are playing from ahead, which is something that even against Redbirds where they won, they weren't doing often.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pummy has certainly been a little bit of an MVP for me today, actually, at least with regard to Trick Room, because
that's absolutely true.
You look at how they were able to actually, you know, position themselves into a grand final.
Back into it.
Yeah, I'm going to be diving back in here. And a lot of that is because of some plays from Pummy. And here he is once again in the grand final in a map that they have to win, setting them up for success.
Saints now approach, knowing that they've got about 2 fights left in this point. Overclock available for Tree. You know how dangerous can be. The hack nearly lands. Mikey diving back after the threat of the Amplification Matrix comes out from Trick Room. Saints will escape unscathed.
So Tree looking for that angle. There it goes. Overclock. Can he find those heads?
Pummy's looking for his own. Tree connects. The Disruptor shot just enough to find Hanbei. Infected looking to fight his way back into the fight. But he just doesn't have enough health or abilities to do it. The first pick from Saints too strong. 80% on the point, though, for Trick Room. Does spell good news thus far for the map.
Now I think the only question here is, okay, we always talk about this, economy, efficiency, those two things going hand in hand. Just how efficient can Saints be with what they have, the resources that they have? It's going to come down to picks. It's going to come down to staving off EMP and also making sure that they can deal with this shatter that's going to come in from Infected. It's, I mean, virtually unblockable, especially when you can consider that EMP could literally delete shields off the map.
In but a moment's time, an insane little boop onto Infected stops him from shutting down. What is an incredible Death Blossom from King. You talked about efficiency. Doesn't get any cheaper than that, Yurix.
That's exactly what they need. One single Death Blossom, now getting close to actually equalizing in this scoreline. Trick Room, though, are coming up on those weapons that we talked about. Pummy, Boat, Infected. Mateball is getting close as well to that sound barrier. Certainly Trick Room are going to get one round with each.
EMP out, Vega targeted, but he gets off the sound barrier! The Suzu's huge from CJ, and they counter-strike! Out comes the Kitsune Rush, down go Trick Room, one more fight, and we are on tournament point for Saints.
Oh man, but Trick Room, they're going to have sound barrier. They're going to have Pummy's Deadeye. Saints spent everything to stick that fight out. They absolutely, desperately need to get away from this Deadeye, or this fight is done and this map is over.
Oh, and they're running. They're running. They know what's on the other end of that bridge. Pummy needs to be careful not to be in a vulnerable position and does back away. Respects the dive of Saints. Now it's a sound barrier of Mateball. He missed it on Esperanza. He has to hit it here. The man needs to redeem himself. It's just a moment in time. It's just about reacting to your teammates' health bars getting low. Amplification Matrix, an ability for Trick Room to get a first pick. Throws it out. It's Mikey in a lot of trouble. Immortality out first. Mikey down. Sound barrier from Mateball. Forward move for Trick Room. And this time they've hit it. They'll cap the point back and send us into map number 6.
Or 7 or 8, but nonetheless, they're going to move us forward. What a competition we have on our hands. Play of the games. I mean, they could go to King all day long. I think as long as Trick Room are getting these dubs, they don't care who the MVP of the lobby is or the play of the game was. They get to move forward. They get to have one more shot. And oh man, what a... I mean, it's definitely not a shock at this stage, but what a pleasant surprise this series has truly been. Trick Room not only look like they have a chance, but it looks like a genuinely good shot at making this even more competitive. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see a Game 7.
And it makes you wonder, what does Saints have in their back pocket? Obviously, a map pick is there, but the map pool is beginning to thin. So their choices are less and less. Can they find somewhere where Trick Room, and I wholeheartedly believe that the correct move for Trick Room is to keep going with what's working almost regardless of map right now, because Saints haven't offered up any answer to this Cassidy Sombra with the rush.
And here's a little bit of a question that I have as well, open-ended. At what point do we go back to Escort? That's in the back of my mind right now for reasons, you know?
Do we? With 7 maps? No, you just go to... Yeah, you just go to Hybrid. After... Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. You're right, we would.
Think it through, man.
Oh, God.
Think it through, man. Guess what's up next, man?
Round 3? Oh, my God. We're going over to Escort for our next map, and I don't know what they're going to pick, man. Who knows? I'm sure they're having a good laugh about it in chat, but the options are open.
So here's the good news is, or it's just news. We're going to call it just news. I think there is a little bit of a hope right now that things have stabilized and it wasn't necessarily a Junkertown issue, and there is a possibility, there is a potential that we could go back there. Obviously, I think that's giving everybody,
cursed,
goosebumps, shudders. Yeah, everybody is just kind of, getting that feeling right now. But I do believe, obviously, things have been incredibly stable ever since. So, I trust in our admins. They've clearly made the right decision here. Everything has been stable ever since. So we'll see what happens. But obviously, map selection is still on the table for the Saints, and they're going to be able to have the option to go right back to Junkertown. And guess what? It's Groundhog Day. All right.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow here. It looks like it's just me now. Junkertown round 3. His old brain just couldn't take it without breaking. So I suspect False is going to be coming back in for Junkertown, though, to say the least. And honestly, I think regardless of what map they picked, they were going to bring False back in just with the way the series is shaken down. False is putting up strong performances. Mikey's done well, but the compositions they've played around Mikey have largely been countered by that Sombra Cassidy that was brought out. And they still don't have an answer to it, but maybe the Diva, maybe that off-tank playstyle could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't have concern for CJ and Vega's life when False is in the mix. I mean, not just because of how incredible of a player that he is, but also just because of the fact that with this Diva, it is just so good at being protective, being defensive. Even when it's pushing and taking space, it still has that great potential to fall back, collect up a pulse bomb, protect the team from, any onslaught of hit scam pressure from those guns that are going to be raining in from Pummy, Boat, Infected, even on the Hammond. So we've run this through a few times. We have a decent idea of what to expect. Well, let's go ahead and third time's the charm. This could very well determine the entire series and the entire tournament as well.
Wouldn't that be poetic? I do think things are going to change, actually. You said we've seen it twice, but again, if I'm Trick Room, I'm not changing anything. We've seen the Rhine comp run on this by every other team in the tournament on this map, except for Saints and Trick Room. It's clearly viable here. And again, The Somber Cassie's been so good. Pummy's been putting up first picks, and the Diva denied all of your dives that you were going for. I think you doubled down, man. Maybe I just am too opinionated and too invested in a game that I've been casting now for like 3 hours.
3
but
days.
Nevertheless, like I think that's the way to go, because nothing else on this map, on Rialto, seemed to come close to genuinely shutting it down. It came sometimes close to playing it close or matching the push, but stopping it, no. And so I think you go back to what was working for you, even if it may feel a little more awkward on the map.
Yeah, also shout out to everyone co-streaming this as well, because I'm sure that they were expecting to have dinner at this point as well. But nonetheless, here we are in a map number 6/7/8, and it is once again back to Junkertown. Return to Junkertown. Here we go again. Trick Room gonna be attacking first this time. Hey, maybe that's the difference that we needed. Saints defending first. And again, no question of what they're going to come to the table here with. Although, do you find it pretty interesting here? Tree actually opting for that sniper, right? I mean, the Hanzo going to be coming in. Trick Room. I mean, that Trick Room is going to be looking for those vulnerable targets to dive in on. Hanzo doesn't have a lot of inherent protection built into his kit, so he's going to have to rely,
dude.
And it is less cooldown now because this is on the live patch. So I guess that is something that does help Tree on the Hanzo, but I can't imagine that a cooldown on the lunge is going to really, bolster your defenses against a comp like this.
Are you trying to tell me lunge is not as good as Sojourn Slide?
Yeah, you're never going to win that argument.
All right, Trick Room in. On the rope still. Tournament point for Saints, but... Oh, you take a breath there if you're Pummy. Spots his head over the top two. His noggin's peeking. Chrome Dome is very visible in the sunlight of Junkertown. Next up is a Tracer to bat. They gotta be real careful here. You're really just testing your luck by peeking Pummy like this.
MVP fence. Okay.
Oh, there's Tree. Yeah, it was bound to happen eventually. A little bit too much greed from Saints, and the Star Child is down for them. How are they gonna win the fight now? Dive in from Trick Room. They want that Zenyatta. The defense matrix is not infinite. I'll tell you that much. Vega can fight for himself, though, as he takes down Boat. Pummy trades for CJ, ignores the Tracer. He's done his job.
Oh, and just like that, False actually loses his mech, so Hanbei, the rest of Trick Room,
point
could
cap.
clean this up. Can they, though? I mean, Infected still needs to stay alive, and Tree is finding these kills, and Infected is just so low.
It's not... You'd think, man, it's just 2 people, but... It's Tree and King, so it's not just 2 people.
Yeah, you might want to walk that one back a little bit, buddy. I don't think anybody saw Infected just hanging out. King could have gone for a pulse bomb, would have set them up in a great position, but oh man, off goes King's head. That is a massive advantage here for Trick Room. Boat can just come alive for basically free.
The first 4 maps of this series were all first picks, every fight from Saints. Trick Room has got them handled. Transcendence to try and solidify this. Well, Pummy's on an open angle. The Tracer's forgotten about him because they have to contest the cart. It's just False standing. This time it's not Tree and King that they have to worry about. They'll try nevertheless. A couple players left here for Trick Room to try and finish out the fight. The Transcendent sees them through time-wise, and the Diva staying alive is great, but who's going to deal with Pummy?
No one to do that. I mean, King keeps having to deal with all these other threats, and he was down at the beginning of that last fight because of Hanbei, and now they haven't really been able to stabilize. There's the cap coming in for Trick Room. Obviously, a lot of time spent getting to this point, but I don't think that they feel too bad at all or too pressed about the situation that they're in. I mean, certainly putting Saints off kilter is a good way, a good method of finding your way forward. That's exactly what Hanbei was able to accomplish by taking down King. Now they have to continue to do that, but I think less of a liability here in the sense that Pummy is no longer on the Widow, doesn't need all those resources. Instead, the Sombra. Okay, maybe I need... Okay, I'm locking that one back. Never mind.
He does go down, but there's a silver lining here. All that time that they gave up at the very end of point A so that Saints could get their last hold, well, it came at a cost to Saints, right? They got the time off the clock, but look at the ultimates, man. That is check marks at plenty. We got to stop dying, Trick Room. Okay, so we got to have a talk. Stop it. Stop it. Get out. Reset. They can't lose another player like this. Pummy's dropped low. What's Boat looking for here? A little shark in the water. A little Jaws action? No.
All right.
Shut down.
All that time, unfortunately, gonna be going to the wayside. Pummy forced out. There's that teleporter cooldown in effect. King looking for that backline, goes for it, does not find it, however. Now Trick Room, it's their opportunity. What can they look for? What can they find?
Trick Room, throw the mines out, take down tree, infected escapes unscathed to the hacked out health pack. Now it's False in trouble, escapes to one that isn't quite as hacked, but still is dangerous as they've been backed into a corner. The rally's still available. Saints are coming up on Sport Ultimates of their own. The question is, can they buy time enough to get them online? They can. Boat down. The rally's still there. Trick Room only 4 players with an EMP. They're trying to reduce Saints to 0. Can they finish off the health bars? No. Vega fighting it out. Battle Zenyatta has come to play, and he is kicking everybody out of his mega room.
I've loved watching this Vega Zenyatta arc that we've been able to, fortunately witness here in this tournament, on this map, in this series. It has been consistently strong throughout this one, and so sick to watch. On top of that, it also gives Saints just so much flexibility, the fact that he can play this, so much so that not only is he able to at least pull his weight on this pick, but they also give him nano boosts constantly as well.
It's been good. King's Pulse Bombs just as much so. A trade for Make Ball? Decently worth it. False actually dropped low. Hanbei forced a Transcendence though, and they're going to try and turn that into an engage, pressing forward into the cart. Pummy under pressure, 70% to an EMP as well. You need to be careful. You cannot be dying in moments like this. With a minute on the clock, Trick Room get 1, maybe 2 more attempts at this. 8-Ball proceeds forward regardless of the time bank though, and pays the price for it. Infected as well. 55 seconds. 1 more fight, and a whole host of ultimates between them and the end of point B.
I think this really just comes down to a question of, can Saints keep their backline alive? They have, the Transcendence. They have the Nano Boost. We've seen what Nano Boost onto Vega could even do. They could throw that onto False as another option if they want to take this more aggressively, but Saints are in such a good position to get a stop here, and if they do, Trick Room, oh man, it does not look good for them.
Dragging out to buy the high ground. EMP, it didn't hit the Zen. It didn't hit Vega. He was backed all the way up into the hallway. It gave him no chance. Now slept out. Infected's in a lot of trouble. Eats the volley of arrows from trees, Hanzo. And now it's Trick Room on the ropes. Vega gets the nano yet again, Hirix. You outlined it. We've seen it before. It's a story meant to be told over and over. And trust me, with a game this good, it's something to tell your grandchildren about.
Oh, there goes Pummy. There goes Hanbei. No shot. Infected's going to be able to get past everybody. And just like that, Trick Room, their attack is thwarted. It is stopped in its tracks. They don't even collect the second objective. That, unfortunately for them, was... I guess technically, the worst showing that we've seen from their attack, despite being one of the best starts for their attack. And a lot of that came down to what you're seeing right here. Pummy just absolutely destroying on this Widowmaker, especially when King was out of the equation.
When he's allowed to play the hit scan today, man, the Cassidy, the Widowmaker, everything has been fantastic from Pummy. Even the Sojourn. But alas, not meant to be. The B push is where the line and the sand is drawn. Trick Room need to stop them, or it is tournament life gone. A vice champion you will be crowned, and Saints will walk away with the larger part of that massive prize pool.
Can Trick Room pull something out, man? How many times can they get away with what feels like absolute miracles? Now to be placed into a position where they're in map 6 and still have a shot to get a map and move things even further along. Remember, again, we've been talking about it all day, but these players have been playing, quite literally all day themselves, but I like the way that we're starting things off. Pummy, we've already seen him popping off on this Widowmaker. Now going to be matched, at least for the time being. Tree is very likely to go back, make that swap. I'm curious to see if does he go Hanzo, or does he instead swap to something else? It looks like Hanzo is going to be the choice that he goes for.
It's dangerous. 1 or 2 arrows could change the entire course of this map, especially in the hands of such a capable player. Now as Trick Room back away, I think it begins to dawn on them. They were scared of the pressure of a map number 5 earlier against Redbirds. We were talking to Mateball about what he was going through, how he just wanted to be out of that match so he could get on to the next one. Well, the next one's here, and I hate to tell you, it's even more stressful. Shots out for Pummy, cowering behind a crate here. The Hanzo nails him time after time, but he refuses to go down. Saints looking for a dive target, but all of them are too far away.
Saints still pushing away. Slowly but surely getting that payload forward. And it's all going to come down to these snipers. I have to imagine who's going to land that shot and give their team the advantage.
Everyone's looking at Pummy right now. It is not just Tree. It's Vega, it's CJ, it's King. Everybody wants this Widowmaker right now. But as long as Pummy's alive, there's a chance. Pummy gets hit with an arrow. Healed back up. Neutral, played, boat backs away. Blinks over to collect the health pack. Pulse bomb, but whose name is on it? Recall. Pulse available. Hanbei with the first pick. It's been silent for so long, but he gives Trick Room a chance. And they've already ripped 2 minutes off this time bank without an Elam. That's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy. I mean, that one kill resets everything, and they've already, like, drained half the time bank. That's crazy. And now Infected is looking to buy just a little bit more. They have to be so careful here, though, as these ultimates come up. Things become far more dangerous. Time to kill goes drastically down, and any mistake instantly could sway a fight.
Oh, the shot! One more! Pummy's got an opener! Tree peeks the corner, tries for the arrow. And take a look at this man. King's trying for the backline, and he'll take down Boat, but Boat's done a great job of playing bouncer the Pummy, making sure that he cannot be reached by that Tracer. And it's opened up so many opportunities.
Speaking of opportunities, not too many left here for Saints, especially if they can't find a way to get back and pressure Pummy. Now Pummy doesn't have those sights, but even still, I mean, King has to find a way to actually get back there and has clearly struggled in doing so. Pummy has answered him every single time, and you see the swap coming in now, Tree and King saying, you know what, let's go ahead and just team up this time. And Pummy sees this swap, and look where he's going, all the way back. Ain't no way you're getting to me.
He's just hiding, which is, like, correct. If there's 2 DPS after you, that's effectively a 2-for-1 trade. You could be effectively dead. You could stay far away, and he will, but he does want teeth in the fight. Pummy lines himself back up to try and take down Vega, but Saints managed to cower into the Mega Room safely. 45 seconds on the clock. Time has flown by for Saints. They have taken one fight proper, and now goes the second. Vega falls. Another advantage for Trick Room. And a map which, I mean, they practically owned 2 times in a row. Saints struggle on number 3.
And remember too, Saints chose this map. They thought they had the winning formula, and oh man, it clearly feels like they don't. King is down. They have to get infected here, and they're not going to.
They've got all the right ingredients. They've handed him the Pummy on a silver platter, and he is cooking them right on up for him. Everything you invested in this player seems to be worthwhile right about now, as he is producing nothing but glory. Trick Room need one more fight to even up the series and send us to a map number 7. False, dropped low, nano boost thrown onto the Diva, dive in from Infected, separating the sports away from the tank. King manages to take down Pummy, though that 2-man dive into the backline is worth it at the end of the day for Saints. False drop low again, though. He's got a bomb to remech with, but Trick Room are in the backline looking disorganized. But we said it before, this is where they can thrive. This is where they can shine in moments. Hanbei dropped low, 2 players waiting to recontest a cart. Oh, but with Boat down, it doesn't seem likely.
Oh, and just like that as well, Magic Mateball was just out there on an island alone, and somehow Saints, they squeak out a point A cap. That just didn't look like it was going to be possible for quite some time there. But they get the job done. 2 minutes, rather just over that here, acquired by the Saints. As they start to get back up into position, they need to find a way to break down the high ground hold that is going to take place here by Trick Room. And if they can do this quickly, they might be able to make this a one-fight setup.
Yeah, they've got a huge advantage. I actually think it might be more profitable for Trick Room to try and engage now and take 2 fights and at least get some of those ultimates out. But, I mean, it's such a tall order. Tree lurking with the pulse bomb. King's got the EMP. The cart just far enough. Hanbei melted down before he can get a before he can get a Transcendence online. The dive on Pummy's successful. Vegas traded out the Pulse Bomb from Boat. Infected stays alive. They need to get out cleanly. Trick Room. Boat takes out Vega.
Oh, that might be a way in. At least potentially here. Vega looking to come back. Looking to establish that ultimate as well. They need that potential for the brawl to be able to just stay on the point. And here it goes. Infected.
Oh, God.
Man.
He's in a world of hurt. Saints have a rally. They've got an Nano. The Pulse Bomb connects. Transcendence out from Hanbei. Trick Room need to win the fight, and soon. Mines are almost up, but he's just not there. The contest on the card is only coming from Boat. It's the last line of defense. It's tournament point for Saints, and they're looking across the finish line. 2-on-2, but in comes Infected, drops the Mines. Maybe just saves the day. He and Boat just have to stagger out. They've got the spawn advantage. Everything is there. A Tracer dropped low. Tree found out, recall forced. He wants to blink towards that health pack, and he just reaches salvation on the other side. Saints have another shot. Trick Room have got to regroup and find a way in. CJ's got the nano boost to make it happen, but without Tree, how are they going to find the final blows? It is false, but he just doesn't have the support. 30 seconds left on the clock, and Saints are calling it. They only get one more chance.
Look out for this EMP, though, from King. That's very close to coming online. They just need to get into position to set this up, and then all bet is on CJ throwing out that nano boost onto False, running down that backline, and seeing if they can get some kind of advantage in this fight.
Trick Room looking for first pick. They've got all the tools. The Pulse connects! The Pulse connects, and CJ's down! The nano boost comes out, though! False doesn't know how to use it. He's walking around, unsure of himself. EMP out. Pummy lives on the high ground. Both traded, though, and he translocates up. Saints have the numbers. Saints have the win, and Saints are your first place champions of the Pro-Am qualifiers.
What a series. I've got chills right now, Saints. Oh, man, it felt like for some time that was going to go straight to a Game 7. Who knows what would have happened there. Played beautifully, especially on defense. But nonetheless, Saints just proved once again that they can adapt. We saw that last second swap over to the Tracer, over to the Sombra, looking for that backline, saying, you know what, we're tired of this. We're tired of you sitting all the way back there, so insulated, having that Widow, having the Zen. We're going to go ahead and we're going to attack that directly, and it worked.
God, that was stressful just to watch. I can't imagine what it was like to play, man. Oh my God, that was a better series than we could have ever thought it to be. After the maps that Saints had picked up, one after another, it seemed like Trick Room just had no chance, man. Esperanza is one sound barrier away from that being the map number 7, from that being what sends us there. It has been an absurd series, but I think at the end of the day, it is just that pedigree from Saints. They know what it's like to play at the top. They know what it's like to play in these finals, and boy, do they know how to clutch out a map 7.
Yeah, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. That's what I agree. I think that's where it really sent them over the edge. Just that fact that they have that experience in these situations. They clearly were really solid in the clutch, and that's really where they made their money here. Quite literally, actually, as well, getting that first place win. But we're not going to waste anyone's time any more than we already have here. We're going to make sure that we go directly into what everyone wants to hear, which is from the winners of that matchup. We're going to be back with, I think, 2 members actually of Saints, and we're going to chat with them and see what they think about their big win and moving forward towards the Pro-Ams. We'll be back in just a sec.